T-Train, you're still down 2 levels. You cannot disrespect the silent work on the flat of here, but he's just gonna get knocked up. They're gonna pile onto him. QST's gonna grab the kill. Hitman's gonna go down as well. The shutdown for the Sejuani and Chris charged up by the Vi. Can't go over the wall, goes for the blast gun. Over the wall, who's gonna get it? Beautiful shot. Oh, hit it, stolen. The Vi grabs the bear and will go down, but way worse. Immediately forces the issue onto the mid lane inhibitor tower. But here comes Drifted. Good quickness onto the backline. Norcal just buying enough time. Can he survive? But Venti's firing away. Mount to be able to take him down, however. Hitman takes down XU. Here comes the Kled. He wants Venchi. Can he escape? He will not. The Kled Cressa is still available. Gino says, there's the Shurima shuffle. The Cataclysm catches to the Shockwave. Will trade back as Gino Sins is down. But here comes HS. Watch away from XU. He will survive for the moment. That's the double kill for Venti. The triple for the Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to week number 6 of Late Night League here. My name is JC Yeso McDonough, and I'm joined by special guest James Latman, former player for UCI Esports, former college League of Legends champion, and substitute for Dignitas and TDK back in the day. Welcome to Late Night League. It's great to have you, my man.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's really exciting here as we hit week number 6 in Late Night League. And as we've talked about throughout the season, you know what that means. That is double points as we get very close to the end of the season. Just 2 more regular season weeks left. Everybody is fighting for those points to try and get the berth from their respective regions. And with 2 weeks left, everything is just that much more important. We will be heading to our central match for tonight. Only 2 teams in the central this week. It will be Indeed and Ferocious Virgin. So they will be facing off in a best of 5, and we will be hitting into that action here in just a moment. And then we'll have more action from the West. Obviously an impressive performance from Grizzly Gaming a week ago as they took the title in the combined Swiss bracket then. So really making a statement last week and topping a few central teams there. So really as we get ready and get closer to the end of the season, we'll start to see who can set themselves apart and who will get the burst from their respective regions.
Absolutely. I think right here we have Indeed playing against Ferocious Virgins up on the screen right now. Yeah.
Yes, we do. Already 1 game on the board, Indeed, with a very commanding victory over Ferocious Virgins in the start of this series. So with the lead in this best of 5. And a couple of notes here. Some roster adjustments for Ferocious Virgins. Soaring Eagle, their standard mid laner, is actually in the jungle this time around with CJ Trico in the mid lane here. So an adjustment that maybe has hurt Ferocious as they did not seem nearly as strong in the first game as Morshoes has been back to his old ways. Not the greatest start to this game, but still holding on as we will get a fight here near the Drake. A lot of damage. Randy Newman has to flash away. It's just the Trundle in 4, but here comes the Shen trying to get out of the backline. Orbit has to get away. The ult from the Victor doing so much damage. Hawaii Gaming will trade one back. Can he survive? Bear King trying to chase him down, and that will be the headshot to finish it off. Now Trico in trouble. The Hextech ultimatum is Korean Banana will work along with Polar Bear to take out the egg. Another kill for Indeed.
Indeed, Randolph trying to get away, flashes away, but the laser will finish it off. The double kill for Morshoes.
An incredible aggressive flash forward there from Morshoes. He was able to actually flash onto both of the enemy bot laners who looked like they did escape in the first phase of that team fight. Unfortunately, both of them are unable to get away, and that mid lane matchup is looking worse and worse, especially after that team fight.
Yeah. Just a moment ago, we had Morshoes sitting at 0-1-1 and now 3-1-3, a part of every single one of those kills, and he's going to be feeling very strong as he heads back to base to most likely finish his first completed item here. 2 Infernal Drakes also on Indeed adds to the scaling that they already have, so Indeed looking very scary as they look to take a 2-0 lead.
It absolutely does. It is worth mentioning that additional dragons on top of the first dragon, since I think last patch or 2 patches ago, they're not nearly as effective as they used to be. But 2 Infernal Dragons is never anything to scoff at, especially when you've got a team composition with champions like Victor and Caitlyn, long range, late game carry champions who are able to really deal a lot of punishment from the backline.
Yeah, and with Korean Banana on the Camille, we saw some great Camille play over the weekend. Ruin piloting that champion into the Aatrox in that CLG series versus Optic, and if you have that kind of favorable matchup in the top lane and Camille can get moving, she never really falls behind. Obviously, the Shen will get fairly tanky. We already see him with his first completed item here, but Korean Banana should continue to be a threat in the side lanes throughout this game.
Yeah, and the Camille is actually a very good pick to have as your diving top laner. Champions like Anivia and Kog'Maw are very vulnerable to it. Here we see Indeed is trying to pressure them off of the mid lane tower from behind with the Camille. TP comes down, but it's too late. Mid lane tower goes down, and that is a very crucial objective, especially for a mid and Nivea.
Yeah, that's going to open so much more of the map here for Indeed to push in and get some vision in the Ferocious Virgin's jungle. And yeah, you talk about Trico, who is already struggling this game, is looking to try and pick up more farm, already down about 40 CS at this point, trying to stack up the tier. And there's just going to be a lot less safe space for Trico on the map here to try and get that Anivia pick scaling.
Absolutely. I think it's unfortunate that we ended up tuning into this game by about 14, 13, 15 minutes. I think before that point, Trico, it seemed like he was doing a pretty good job keeping up in CS in the matchup. Game 1 between these two teams, Ferocious Virgins and Indeed, I think Morshoes was able to push a much stronger advantage from the mid lane. And this game with a champion like Anivia, you would have expected Morshoes to be able to, to re-simulate that same dominance from mid lane. He did have a 20 to 30 CS advantage before that mid-dragon fight, but before that point, he had no kills. In fact, like you said, he was down 0-1 with a strong CS advantage, which is a very salvageable position for an Anivia. Unfortunately, that fight went so poorly, and now we see Morshoes is absolutely rolling over the mid lane, and Anivia has no tower, which again is a very, very major point, something not to be overlooked.
I mean, that's a 2,500 gold lead just from Morshoes over CG Trico right now, so the Anivia in a very rough spot here, as that is a 3rd Elemental Drake picked up. The Ocean, not as effective as we head towards 19 and 20 minutes, but it still will allow Indeed to stay on the map further. Typically prefer that to be the first Drake, but they will not complain about that. Hawaii versus Gaming trying to push up top here. Polar Bear on the other side of the map, so the Shen is fairly safe outside of the 1v1, and Korean Banana just trying to protect that tier 1 tower as Randolph just trying to absorb as much farm as he can here on this Kog'Maw. Already has the Rage Blade finished. 1-1 scoreline on the Kog'Maw, but the Caitlyn is on the board so far. 2-0-2 with the Infinity Edge and a Zeal finish, as well as those Berserker Greaves. So Bear King definitely set up to succeed here, paired up with Orbit's Nami to empower an already very scary Caitlyn. So we'll have to see how things shake out. Ferocious Virgins definitely behind the 8 ball. Down about 4,500 gold, so they're going to need to find a way back into this game.
They do need to, but fortunately their team composition at 6 items across the board will outscale. It's just a matter of time. Indeed has a very strong composition to be able to accelerate the pace of the game, to break down these outer towers. However, they are rotating Caitlyn to the bot lane here, and that is absolutely what you don't want to be doing if you're trying to accelerate the game from this position, as Indeed. I think it would be much stronger if they had the Caitlyn in top lane. You don't want to rotate your Victor out of mid lane since he's an efficient shoving, wave shoving, farming champion. You want him in the mid lane to optimize his farm. But you can definitely rotate the Camille into the bot lane. Yeah,
and with Baron already up in the lead that Indeed has been able to build, if Korean Banana can pressure that bottom lane, it will open the opportunity to go for Baron. Yep, he moves down there now. We have to note Hawaii versus Gaming has the Staying United available, but no teleport. So only one option for him to join his team, and obviously the Camille has the opportunity to cancel that.
So it looks like Morshoes is really itching to make a play here. He just went ahead and walked away from mid, from a mini wave at mid in order to come up here with the Sejuani and the Caitlyn. Unfortunately, they're not going to find anything, and now Anivia gets a free wave to push in the mid lane. A much-needed respite for her in the mid game.
Indeed, looks like they want to take this final tier 1 tower here. Caitlyn, very good at sieging, and Morshoes is so strong. He's able to pressure them off. Here comes Polar Bear behind the tower. That's going to be the ult onto the Lulu to try and keep Randy Newman alive, but it's not enough as Polar Bear grabs that kill. Morshoes wants more. He's trying to chase down Randolph. The burst from the Victor will take down the Kog'Maw. Now Morshoes has to back away. Harai versus Gaming has shown up. He's going to take the Hextech ultimate, and he will go down the double kill for the Victor, and now Indeed has their path to Baron.
Great play from Indeed right there. As you can see, they sacrificed one wave of mid-tempo to make that play, but they were decisive about it. They didn't wait for 2 mini waves to crash to the tower. They didn't let Anivia get a single extra mini wave that she was supposed to be able to get for free from that play. It was an incredible tempo-based play, and I really like the TP from the Camille as well, the initiate on the dive from the Sejuani. It was all really, really decisive, really fast.
Solid flash there from Trico. Korean Banana's in trouble. Having to buy some space between the Anivia here. Ult from the Caitlyn will not take Trico down, so he will survive, and Kareem Banana will walk away. But that is the Tier 1 tower in mid, picked up by Ferocious Virgins, but Indeed was able to take Tier 2 on top side, and instead of going straight to the Baron, just electing to set up some more vision, get control around that area of the map. And Trico stays out way too long. The passive is available, but it doesn't look like it will save him this time. Morshoes grabs another kill here, and with the mid laner down, looks like Indeed is ready to go to Baron now.
Yeah, it looks like they're mobilized into that Baron right now. There we just saw a direct result of Anivia's stain for that mid tower. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to get back on time, on tempo, because she was able to stay behind for that tower. Korean Banana made a really good play to go out of his way to stop that Anivia. That might have looked a little over aggressive at first, but he was able to blow the Anivia's sums, and Morshoes is able to go in for the kill.
Soaring Eagle is on his way towards the Baron pit, but it doesn't look like Ferocious Virgins has any real ID until now. They are going to get vision, but it's going to be way too late. The Baron take was not quick whatsoever from Indeed there, but they had just gotten so much vision control on that top side of the map that Ferocious Virgins was never able to get into proximity here. As Hawaii versus Gaming in the 1v1, he's in trouble. Morshoes going to grab the solo kill on the Shen.
Absolutely demolished. Morshoes is getting completely out of hand. 7-1-4 in the bot lane, leading the game in CS with 222 at 23 minutes. That's a very strong CS per minute, right under 10. He's looking primed to carry this mid game.
And his burst is only going to get scarier. He's obviously already got the Luden's Echo working on the Lich Bane here, so
he might even have that Lich Bane in the bank right now, actually. I think he's only staying on the map to shove that last wave in before he backs.
The burst from the Victor here is going to be very, very scary, and Randolph has been struggling to find safe spaces in these fights to kind of become that turret that he wants to be, and it's only going to be more difficult here with Morshoes throwing lasers into the backline that could almost take out half of his health in one go.
Morshoes just dropped that tower in one minion wave.
Bear King's now in mid lane as well with Orbit here trying to take down this tier 2. The wall will zone them off for the moment, but Trico can't even clear out the wave quick enough to save his tier 2 tower. Now they're going to collapse onto the Anivia. Big trouble here for Trico as Orbit will grab the kill. Nami has to get away as Randolph goes out a little bit of damage, but it's nowhere near enough. So one dead, the 5v4 for Indeed with Baron buff as they look to pressure mid. Looks like they're going to rotate Korean Banana to the top side to try and pressure a side lane. They've got the minion wave in mid lane to pressure. Now
so this is Ferocious Virgins' chance. Victor went back to go try to grab blue buff, I think.
A lot of damage onto Soaring Eagle, though. The Trundle going to be difficult to frontline at less than 1,000 health.
Ferocious is able to hold the tower, but Victor's here, back with his team. It's only a matter of time that the tower will drop now.
Yeah, they've got that cannon minion firing away. Polar Bear can just step up and tank, and they'll easily drop the mid lane inhibitor tower and move on to the inhibitor. Korean Banana continuing to pressure 1v1 on the top side as the mid inhibitor will fall, and Morshoes is looking to rotate bot side. They've got a good minion wave building up down there. They can look to pressure all 3 inhibitors here at 25 minutes.
Excellent usage of the Baron so far. I really like how they were able to set up that bot wave, then rotate mid while the bot wave slow pushed in, take the mid inhib, and then rotate back down to the bot wave that you set up earlier.
Okay, wave clear here from Trico, but he's just going to get pressured off. Morshoes not scared of the tower whatsoever. It will already fall. He still gets the kill onto Trico, and Bear King just firing away. One headshot onto Randolph, and that will force out the ultimate from the Lulu. The Wild Growth will keep him alive for now.
Camille's still brawling.
Yeah, trying to deal with the Shen. does take the tower, but they're pressing onto Nexus turrets. Soaring Eagle has to back away. They're continuing to fire away as a trap line is set up by Bear King. Soaring Eagle cannot even get into this fight as one Nexus tower falls. The back from orbit. He will have to swim back from base, but they're already looking for the Nexus. The second Nexus tower will fall, does indeed stay. Here comes the White versus Gaming. He's going to try and get the top, but knocked away by the Arctic Assault. Polar Bear trying to zone away the Shen, and down he goes to more shoes. There's the ult onto the Trundle. Soaring Eagle lockdown. Randolph will fall. The Trundle will not escape here. The Flash will not save him. The double kill for more shoes. They're on to the Nexus as Bear King is just firing away at Ferocious Virgins on the Fountain. More shoes with the lasers to follow up, and that is going to be the 2-0 lead, a commanding victory here for Indeed over Ferocious Virgins.
Indeed is looking incredibly strong. Their solo lanes they absolutely took control of that mid game. From that dragon fight onward, they accelerated the game very quickly. They dove on every minion wave that they had tempo on. They really shut down that side lane advantage, and that was a really clean mid game from Indeed.
Yeah, really looked like as soon as they knew they had an advantage, and it all started at that fight at the Drake, right? You really get more shoes going when you get that ace at about 15 minutes, and then they never look back. They dot all their I's, cross their T's, clear out every tower that they can, and head into a victory at the Nexus. We're going to show you a couple slides here. We're going to head to our format just so we can refresh everybody on how everything is set up. Remember, we are into double points here in weeks 6 and 7, so those first place points will instead be 20 points this week, so it could be a very big week for Indeed. Here, as you see, with just 2 teams, we are playing the best of 5 today. In the Western region, we will have that double elimination best of 1 bracket coming a little bit later, but we will have game 3 coming soon between Indeed and Ferocious Virgin. So a lot on the line here as we prepare for the Season 3 finals, and Indeed making a strong statement why they should be the central representative.
Yeah, they're looking incredibly strong. Even from game 1, this is a team that seems like they are very capable of taking control of the game from early game, showing no mistakes in the mid game and making the right moves to accelerate the game pace and close out from mid game without letting these games get to late game at all. There was one thing that Ferocious was able to do in game 1 to counteract Indeed's control. At one point, when Ferocious was pushing in when Indeed was pushing in bottom as 4, Ferocious was able to very decisively all leave their base at once, go through a line of pink wards that they had through their topside jungle, and they all snuck into Baron Pit. And I thought that was a very, very decisive, very clear comms sort of call to make that shows that their heads are still in it for sure. This is not a team that has accepted that they're simply outskilled and have no chance of winning. They're definitely making proactive moves, but the problem is Indeed is just looking so strong. Their solo laners are looking very poised to carry this tournament.
Yeah, and they're running out of time with just 2 weeks left. If Indeed is able to win this week, they'll open up an even further gap than they already have. Obviously already up 7 points on Ferocious Virgins, and a win this week would just make that gap near insurmountable. So really, if you're Ferocious Virgins right now, you need to get back into the series now. You can't win 3 in a row, obviously, at once. You've just got to start with game number 3, try and reset the mental and get back into the series. But there's certainly opportunity, but they can't wait anymore. The time is now. You need to come back in this series, otherwise your season could be done.
Absolutely. What kind of composition do you think would suit Ferocious the best in order to climb this seemingly insurmountable wall?
It's hard when you look at it. We're obviously typically used to seeing Soaring Eagle in the mid lane and the team playing heavily around him. So shifting him to the jungle obviously changes things up a bit. I don't necessarily know how much experience he has there, but playing simple things like the Trundle is pretty straightforward. And into the Sejuani, especially if she's taking Aftershock, you have opportunities to carry if you can get moving. I'd say keep it pretty straightforward. You've got pieces kind of moving around in the lineup, so play a very straightforward comp. Simple engage. Malphite is coming back into the meta. Maybe that's an option for top lane. Obviously, Shen, I think, is something that kind of fits that mold a little bit. He doesn't bring the engage, but a very straightforward playstyle. I think you need something a little bit safer than the Kog'Maw, right? More Shoes has been a big threat, and if you're playing into something like the Camille in the top lane on the other side, that Kog'Maw is almost never safe, even with the wild growth from the Lulu, because he's getting poked out, and the wild growth is just almost allowing him to get back to Fountain to heal up. So I think you either need something a little bit safer or something that can dominate the laning phase. Maybe something like the Draven that can get going from the early game more than the Kog'Maw can. But I think there's an opportunity here, but there does need to be a little bit of a shift in draft.
Yeah, it definitely seems difficult for them to execute a Kog'Maw pick when you're playing against a duo bot lane that's able to pull out a lane like Caitlyn Nami.
Yeah.
Caitlyn is historically known as one of the best picks you can take into Kog'Maw. Not only does she have a good lane matchup into him, but Kog'Maw tends to activate at 2 items. Caitlyn activates at 2 items as well, but her 2 items are a little bit cheaper, a little bit easier to get into, and she's able to apply a lot more pressure into the lanes when she hits that 2 item spike compared to Kog'Maw, who needs to be a little bit more team fight, objective control oriented. As long as Indeed is continuing to pick champions such as Sejuani and Camille, champions that are able to have very, very clear, very easily activatable go buttons, I think picking hyper carries in bot lane is just it's not the approach you want to be taking here. If they're able to take the Sejuani out of the equation, if they're able to get the enemy jungler on something that's a little bit more of a tempo-based jungler, something like a Lee Sin, these junglers are a little bit scarier to play against than a Sejuani if the enemy jungler is playing aggressively. But I think at this point, it's starting to look like if you give Indeed the tools to push an advantage, and the best tools to do that right now in this meta is probably Sejuani jungle, champions with very strong engages, you're making their jobs a lot easier to accelerate this game. Whereas I think if you give them champions that might have a stronger early game but less concrete go buttons, you'll be able to create more opportunities for them to make mistakes and more opportunities in turn for you to come back into the game.
Yeah, and one thing we've really seen from Polar Bear this season is sticking to the Sejuanis and the J4s with those very, very narrow play styles, very straightforward, right? Maybe try and push him onto something different like the Lee Sin, see if that's something he can bring to the table. He hasn't shown it as of yet this season, but maybe the jungle is a point they can attack, because you can try and attack the solo lanes in draft, but it's difficult. More Shoes and Korean Banana both have very deep champion pools, can play a lot of different styles as well, so I think you need to try and find a chink in the armor in the draft, and jungle may be a position, and maybe that's where you can get that early game advantage, start to snowball towards your side lanes and get things moving.
Possibly. One thing I do want to point out that I've been particularly liking from Ferocious is the Shen top lane.
Yep.
I think that's a very strong example of a champion that, he doesn't have a very strong engage, a very strong go like champions like Camille and Sejuani, but he's able to, you can essentially, without a very strong challenger level of split pushing, you can split push an entire game of competitive 5s as Shen.
Yep.
And you almost always will be able to help your team with either TP or with ult. I think that linear simplicity of the champion is very, very crucial, especially at this level of play in 5s. And I think it's definitely a sign that Ferocious is looking in the right direction in some places in their draft, I think.
Yeah, and the one thing you also get from the Shen is, while he's not going to dominate laning phase, he typically loses fairly gracefully, even into the Camille. Like, he's not going to build a big CS lead, but he can hold his own, farms up well, you take grasp, and you can at least serviceably trade and keep yourself healthy in the lane, and then play more for those teleports, the staying uniteds, to work with your team. So you don't give up too big of a lead in the top lane, and then you work with your team very, very well through teleporting your ultimate in that very straightforward play style. So there's certainly opportunity there, and I would agree. I would like to see them bring that out once more. I think it's something that you can pair with maybe that safer bottom lane and try and play around that lane, and maybe you get more of a roaming mid lane, or maybe TF or something like that, to come down to the bottom lane and see if that's where you can get that snowball moving.
Yeah, that's actually the biggest thing I want to see changed is the Anivia pick in the mid lane. I think if you are playing against a control mage player that you are either confident against, or you're just that confident in your own control mage play, then a matchup like Anivia into control mages is fine. But I think what we saw in that last game is More Shoes will take a control versus control mage matchup to town.
Yeah.
He was so mobile that game. Not like even in just the laning phase, he was able to pull a 20-25 CS advantage before that dragon fight. But in that dragon fight, he was everywhere. He was pressuring the mid laner. He got the jungler off the dragon. Then he went and flashed after the bot lane before they got away for another double kill. I feel like picking a control mage into him is just not the move. I feel like you're not going to be able to really slow him down like that. I'm not really all too familiar with Trico's champion pool, but hopefully Trico's able to pull in maybe something with a little bit more CC, a little bit more dependable CC, so that his jungler can get involved and hope to slow down More Shoes' map movements.
Yeah. It's definitely an opportunity. It's going to be difficult, certainly, to win that mid lane matchup, even if you're trying to go for that jungle mid 2v2. Definitely a tall task there, but if you can get that going, or just get to those sidelines, play play the map a little better, try and roam to those side lanes. It's certainly an opportunity there. We will be getting into Game 3 very soon. We certainly appreciate everybody coming out to hang out with us this week. It's been a blast all season, following all the action from the West and Central regions, and you may have seen the graphic a little bit earlier, but do just want to remind you one more time that if you need any more information about us here at Esports Arena, any of our leagues, you can head over to esportsarena.com to check all of that out. And remember, we've got many different games going. We've got our Tuesday night Overwatch night or Blizzard night with Overwatch and Hearthstone. Wednesday night fights is always a blast. And then don't forget to tune in here for our streams on Thursdays and Friday with Super Smash Thursdays, as well as Fortnite Frenzy. There's a graphic for you right there, esportsarena.com, to get more information on that. And then obviously throw us a follow or a subscription here at twitch.tv/esportsarena to make sure you're getting notified every time we are going live with our streams. Do want to talk a little bit about the Western region. We won't go to their games just yet, but we can break things down a little bit. We mentioned earlier Grizzly Gaming sitting at the top, just a couple games, a couple points over Alab. And one thing to note is that Alab is actually not here this week, so that's huge for Grizzly Gaming. They've got the opportunity, you can see the standings there, to really open up a huge gap. If they have a good week here, Alab could be in really big trouble because they will only have one more week to try and close that gap and take over first place from Grizzly Gaming. So if you're Alab, you're really hoping that Grizzly falls apart here, but I wouldn't expect it. So Grizzly, with an impressive performance last week, going undefeated through Swiss and taking the title in week number 5, are definitely looking like the favorites to come out of the West. I hope we can see some more action from them later tonight. Other teams to highlight as well, AHS Black and Titan are both out this week, and they can look to try and chase down Grizzly. A win for them would certainly make things very interesting heading into the last week of the West.
Yeah, I think that's actually a very crucial detail that Alab didn't show up.
Yeah.
That's really unfortunate, considering, I mean, clearly they were the team that was in most contention to disrupt Grizzly Gaming's run.
Yeah.
But like you said, this is a huge opportunity for Grizzly Gaming to really expand that gap and, you know, make that not a possibility.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they can do here. Bear with us as we are preparing for game number 3 here. Obviously, the 2-0 lead for Indeed. We'll have a lot to break down once we hit champion select for that one. Appreciate everybody coming out to hang out with us. Latman, let's talk a little bit here. Let's go a little broader and let's talk about the meta right now as we've hit.
Well, that's real broad.
Right? We've hit playoffs for LCS. Things are really starting to shape up as we've hit smaller changes in the patches, right? The Balance team really tried to bring out the big stuff in 9.14 so that there weren't too big of disruptions as we headed towards Worlds, which is certainly important to a lot of professional teams. What stands out to you right now as things are starting to settle down? People are really trying to figure out what is kind of the strongest things in the meta right now. Anything that really stands out to you currently?
So I think currently one of the biggest things that stands out to me and the teams that I'm working with is Mordekaiser.
Yep.
I think it goes without saying, but in case any of you are watching right now and you haven't played League in a long time, maybe you haven't heard or seen of the new Mordekaiser. Essentially, he can pull you and himself into an alternate dimension where it's just you two, and he'll kill you there. And there's
the
a circle.
ultimate 1v1 me,
It's
bro.
the ultimate 1v1. Yeah, exactly. It's like a 1v1 me, bro. Imagine Camille, except Camille's taking you out of the building, out of the bar, outside.
Yeah.
And that's what Mordekaiser will do to you in this meta. It's incredibly strong. His laning phases are really they're not only strong matchups where he's not very punishable, even if you pick champions like Corki into him, but they're very consistent. He has very good wave clear. He's a pretty tanky guy. Even if you gank him, you're probably not going to kill him. You can blow a summoner, but that's the best you're going to get. And his 2v2s with this junglers are insane because he's got good CC early, he's got good damage, good base values early, and if you don't get there until level 6, you're going to lose there. So it's a very strong champion in this meta right now. Other characters that really stand out, like we mentioned earlier, Sejuani and Jarvan are two of the most effective junglers at the moment.
And they have been for a while.
And they haven't been for a while, exactly, yeah. And I think a big part of that is we've seen a lot of solo laners that have good CC, good early game values in their damage. So you don't really need to rely so much on champions like Elise, on champions like, I don't know, Nunu, like really cheesy levels of strong ganking.
Sure.
It's better instead to pick junglers who have that early level ganking with CC, but you know, they don't necessarily have to be like carrying these early fights on their own. All they need is the CC and strong base values. So that's why I think champions like Jarvan, Sejuani, Irelia, Mordekaiser, Silas are all really standout champions right now because they have good, consistent CC and strong base values. I think another thing that's worth noting in this meta in particular is bot lane isn't looking as strong as it was, I think, 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I've been noticing lately.
What are your thoughts on the mid lane? There's been, I've seen a ton of complaints about it. It feels a little weird because it felt like it only just cropped up, but there's all the talk about Corki Azir, right?
Yeah.
Such high prevalence in the mid lane. We see it a ton. Both of those, they just control lane very well. They scale fairly well, bring a lot of damage to the team fights. So there's been a ton of complaints about people think it's a little stale, but what are your thoughts looking at the mid lane right now with those two kind of dominating the top tier?
Well, I think Corki Azir that's a mid lane dynamic that never really lasts too long. When it does, or that's not true. It does last a decent while. But the thing is, it doesn't remain the strongest thing you can pick at mid lane for too long.
Sure.
If you want a character that beats both Syndra and Corki, I mean both Azir and Corki, I already spoiled it. It's Syndra. It's Syndra. If you want a character that can break that meta, you can just pick Syndra. And there's definitely Syndra players out there. It's
We
not
saw
a
it from
secret.
PoE
Yeah.
on Sunday, bringing out kind of one of his older signature picks. It's definitely something Bjergsen loves to play as well.
Absolutely, and she's not the only champion that can do it. You've got champions like LeBlanc who can. It's not nearly as good as Syndra, mind you,
Sure.
in terms of consistency. But there's definitely solutions to what people are saying or are diagnosing as a stale, unbreakable meta. That's just not true at all.
Yeah.
There are absolutely mid picks that can work against those characters. The only problem is with those two champions that we listed. Actually, LeBlanc doesn't have this problem. The Syndra does. She does have a CC, but it's not easy to land at all,
No.
especially at the professional level. Her base values do make up for that, but the fact that you might end up in a 2v2 pre-level 5 where your millionaire has no CC against, I mean, I guess a Corki and Azir don't have CC either, and you wouldn't be really picking Syndra if you wasn't into those two champions. So I take it back. They're good, solid answers.
There you go.
And that's my response to that complaints about the meta.
So if you hate it, just learn Syndra.
Yeah, just
Play Syndra.
play counters.
Or ban it out. I mean, it's just those two champions, so it's not like it's terrible to try and attack those pools, right? But we are finally into Champion Select. Appreciate everybody's patience here as we are into draft for game number 3. Indeed, now back on the blue side, and the Aatrox banned out early. Not a ton of surprises. Continue to have very high priority here in North America, especially at the professional level.
That was another standout I forgot to mention. Yeah, the Aatrox.
Aatrox, yeah.
Definitely a standout champion right now in the meta. I'm surprised by the Twitch first ban. Is that purely a respect ban towards F. Randolph?
Yeah, I feel like it would have to be. We really don't see almost any Twitch in the current meta, so that would tell me that's just one of his priority picks, and they're trying to focus him out a little bit. And Ferocious Virgins banning away the Anivia, that would tell me. I don't know if you saw draft for game 1, but when I saw Trico playing the Anivia, because it's such a big pick from Warshoes, it hinted to me that it may have been Ferocious trying to take that away instead of banning it. But with them now on the red side, seems like they don't even want to allow Indeed the opportunity to grab it with a first pick here. Morgana and Poppy, the other two bans from Indeed, you can see up there, and the Kled, the last ban for Ferocious Virgins, and a first pick Braum,
First pick
early
Braum.
priority on the support for Indeed.
Okay, so my initial impressions on that are, maybe they know that Randy Newman is a Braum comfort. Maybe they're just really looking for a balling that works well with the Braum. Ultimately, I cannot agree with the Braum first pick in this meta.
Yeah, I feel like it's not. I mean, obviously, like you talk about, Randy Newman maybe wants to take that support, but I feel like you really shouldn't be fighting to contest support this early in the draft, and it means that Ferocious Virgins gets the Sejuani this time. We talked about taking Polo Bear off of the Sejuani, and now they have the opportunity to give that pick to Soaring Eagle, and the Janna is going to be the response here from Ferocious.
So it seems Ferocious doesn't really have too many priority picks that they're really eager to get besides the Sejuani. Looks like they're picking Janna in response to the Braum so that they give themselves more opportunities for counter picks later on in the draft.
And that means that we'll expect jungle and something else here from Indeed. So Ferocious will get the opportunity to match, and then try and attack Indeed's champion pools in that second ban phase. The Nunu is the hover now, and that is what Polar Bear will bring out. So you talked about the cheese engage. Obviously, Nunu brings a lot of power in the lane ganks. You come charging down the lane with a huge, huge snowball.
Oh,
Can be very annoying, but not necessarily the easiest engage to get going, but it certainly can have its power. And now we'll see what the last pick is here for Indeed in the first phase. It is going to be the Ash Hover.
Looks like Team Indeed is going for Glacial.
Glacial comp. That would be honestly great. But this does mean Ferocious can just match bot lane for bot lane with their junglers now and look to focus the solo lanes, which, I mean, if I'm Ferocious, I'm more than happy to throw bans at the solo lanes. Obviously, your solo laners will take a bit of a hit. Maybe that Shen will be banned away if they don't pick it here. Hovers on the Jinx, and that will be locked in.
Yeah, so I think ultimately maybe the champion picks weren't the most ideal, but in terms of draft structure, I think Ferocious comes out here on top because, like we mentioned before, it seems Indeed's biggest threats in this series seems to be their solo lanes. Now Ferocious is having a chance to pinch to not worry about any other roles. They can purely pinch the solo lanes, and they're gonna get the last pick of the draft as well since they're on red side. So here we have two advantages coming together that may help Ferocious take at least one advantageous matchup in the solo lanes.
Yeah, the question is, they've banned away the Aurelia here. No surprise, has been one of Korean Banana's top picks as the Shen is banned away. So that hurts Ferocious a little bit. I think that's a pick they would have loved to give Hawaii versus Gaming another time, but they're going to hit the Vladimir here. So taking Morshu's top two picks off of the table in the Anivia and the Vlad. There's the Ornn is banned away. So that means we will see Hawaii versus Gaming on a new champion in this series. He played Ornn in Game 1 and Shen in Game 2, but he'll have to bring something else out here. And I would assume you're probably looking for top lane now, but they're going to hover. The Lux would be an interesting selection for mid.
Very interesting blind pick.
Yeah.
Must be Comfort.
Going to be hovered and
looks like it's going to go with it. Oh!
Switching over to the Xerath at the last moment. And interesting. So another immobile mage here for Trico. Really going to have the fancy feet in the mid lane. No amazing engage yet from Indeed. Obviously, you do have the Ash Arrow as well as Nunu and Willip coming in with the Snowball.
Ooh, they're breaking the Glacial.
Don't do it.
Glacial Assassin's a terrible combo. That's not in TFT yet.
But you could sort of go Glacial, right? If you have the Nico release skin, because it's the winter skin, and then you go the Squirt Gun build, right, with Glacial Augment. It's possible, but they go away from it, instead going for Morshu's Zoe here. And it looks like we could see Korean Banana one more time on the Camille. It's available as he's switching around different picks here, but it's going to be the Renekton going for the lane bully.
I'm very surprised about that. So clearly he didn't go the Camille because he wanted a more lane dominant matchup. However, I think that Camille was a good pick last game, right? I think it's an even better pick this game. Actually, no, it's just as good of a pick. Because last game it was a tremendously strong pick. They had Kog'Maw bot, Anivia mid, and Lulu support. This game you've got Janna support, Jinx bot, Xerath mid. Again, three very squishy, very immobile backliners. But Renekton, you know, he will still be able to have that pressure in the side lane. It's certainly still a strong pick.
And the one thing you do get here, right, with the additional shield breaking mechanic added on Renekton is fairly strong into a Janna composition. Obviously, she's going to be throwing out shields a lot, so you can break those if you're getting in onto those priority targets in the backline. Interesting here, though, it really just seems like Korean Banana, with the Shen already taken off the board, he's simply thinking, you know, Hawaii versus Gaming can't take anything that can survive the lane. So thinking, I can take the Renekton, bully this lane, and put Hawaii versus Gaming behind because he doesn't really have a safe pick. Taking the Garen here, what are your thoughts about that response into the Renekton?
So I think it's very player dependent.
If he's reckless, it may work.
Yeah, exactly. Because the thing is, like we saw in LCS, Garen has ridiculous sustain. Ridiculous sustain. So if he needed a character where he's looking at the lane matchup and he's like, you know, this player might be a little stronger than me. That champion's a very strong lane dominant champion. If that was a thought process that led to him picking Garen, I totally agree with it. I think it's a very good pick to not only survive in the lane, but it's not like you're picking something like, let's say, what's a lane matchup where you're not going to get anything done for the entire game?
You're just useless. Just
Yeah.
FF. You might as well.
Imagine you're a Jax, but you got really screwed early game.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's a kind of matchup where not only are you gonna perma lose your lane, but you're never really gonna contribute in fights. And the maximum contribution that you can get is very dependent on you being a very strong mechanical player. You need to get a jump flash counter strike or something to land something that's truly impactful when you're that far behind as a Jax. But as a Garen, you can just wait for one of their frontliners to get low. You keep yourself alive long enough in that first part of the fight, and you just click R on the Nunu or the Braum or maybe the Renekton, and that will be huge for their team. They have a Jinx. So if Jinx is hitting the first person that Garen ults and it happens to be a frontliner, and that happens before someone on Ferocious dies, that Garen pick can do a lot more in a team fight than the Renekton might.
Yeah, and he can be very scary. I mean, I like his. He obviously will scale better than the Renekton, right? Renekton's that lane bully that translates well into the mid game, but unless you have an enormous lead, your late game is not nearly as strong. Garen's going to get very tanky and certainly can contribute as a frontliner and has the ultimate on those low health targets. So there's definitely a possibility if this game goes a little bit later. Obviously, Indeed has not allowed Ferocious Virgins to get to late game so far in this series, so that's definitely going to be a difficult task, but it could play out well there for Ferocious. They've obviously got the better engage this time around, taking the Sejuani, so you have that near point and click setup with the Glacial Prison. So there are opportunities here, but there's also two mobile carries. You've got a Xerath and a Jinx that can be very vulnerable. Obviously, you have the Janet to try and peel. You have the ultimate and the Tornado to try and buy space there and then add the shields on top to keep them alive. But it's not going to be easy here for Ferocious Virgins. They've got a solid composition. I like what they put together, but it's not... as we were talking about earlier, kind of that straightforward composition.
Yeah, not at all.
You know, you bring the Sejuani, and that does add a lot of power in that kind of zone, but you don't have the entire comp around that makes things simple. So the win conditions are there, but they aren't going to be very easy to execute on.
Yeah, not at all. And another thing that surprises me about the way they approached this third draft is in games 1 and 2, they also picked scaling compositions. And twice in a row, Indeed was able to come in and show them, no, you can't run that against us. We will not let you survive past 30 minutes. And here we see them do it again in Game 3 with their backs against the wall. Now, of course, this time they have the Sejuani. They have a go button. They have something that the other team was using very, very effectively to accelerate the game. So maybe they're banking on the fact that, you know, Indeed might not be that strong of a team at closing out if we don't give them the best tools that they need to close out with. But of course, I guess all we can really do is wait and see whether they're right on taking that gamble or not.
Yeah, and you're probably also hoping that you don't have that big 15-minute fight at Drake that really just blows the game wide open. Because it was, as you mentioned, fairly close for the early part of the game. Last time, Morshoes had built a bit of that CS lead, but was only had an assist to his name by that point. So if you can keep things close for a while, that's maybe where it helps out that maybe they can't close out the game as well. And if you keep things tight, then maybe you have an opportunity to get into this game. But we are on to the Rift here. Ferocious Virgins versus Indeed. The 2-0 lead for Indeed. And
Indeed is going for an invade. Oh, I like the path that they're doing here too. So here we see them sneaking into the lane bush. This has a decent shot of getting the Jinx and oh, they're gonna walk right in. Okay, here we go.
The level 1 from Indeed is obviously great. Braum brings a lot of power to the level 1 with the Winter's Bite and the concussive blows, but they won't catch out the Jinx. That was an invade that actually CLG used yesterday. That with the positioning, I don't know if you saw that, where they were just able to sneak through without Big getting vision. Did you see that yesterday?
I didn't. You said they were able to sneak into the blue buff.
It was beautiful. So they went down to that bottom brush, and then Arrow was sitting on the other side of the wall near where the blast cone spawns, and Big had gone up to the pixel brush, and they just hugged the wall enough to where Big never got vision of them in River, and then Arrow was just standing right around the corner of that wall to where he didn't have time to react. They got a great level 1 kill with the Morgana.
Wow.
So there's an opportunity there, but I think good on Ferocious Virgins for Randolph to be forward, so he spots that invade out early, and nothing goes wrong for Ferocious at level 1, and we'll see them head to lanes fairly safe. Junglers starting on their respective red buffs. The leash from the bottom lane of Indeed will get Polar Bear moving on the Nunu. A pick we really haven't seen from him this season. We'll have to see how well he performs on it here. He will be facing against Soaring Eagles Sejuani, and still have to mention, I think it's important to keep tabs on Soaring Eagles' performance here. In and off role, trying to fill in for the team right now, and he's going to be kind of a linchpin of this composition on the Sejuani.
So something I want to point out here is, so Ferocious's bot lane, as you said, their jungler started topside. So Ferocious's bot lane didn't have to leash compared to Indeed's. Now, especially given a character matchup like Jinx Janna, you would expect them to do one of two things with that push advantage. One, push the wave from level 1, or 2, pull the lane and try to deny minion and let it push back into them. They ended up doing neither. They got to the lane first, but they're somehow getting pushed in now by the Ashe, and it's made even worse by the Ashe not having a support matchup, or a ranged support matchup like the Janna does. So I feel like Indeed is getting away with a little bit more than they should in the bot lane right now, and considering the matchup is a mid-game AD carry in the Ashe versus a late-game AD carry in the Jinx, I think this may be indicative to what we can expect throughout the early game and mid-game from bot lane.
Yeah, and maybe it just indicates a bit of a mental struggle from the side of Ferocious, even with what should be a strong early laning phase here with that ranged matchup, instead electing to just try and freeze the wave on their side of the map here and just play very safe here early. But into the mid lane, Trico's in trouble, forced to flash away, but still knocked up by the snowball. That's going to be the Sleepy Trouble Bubble landing. A lot of damage onto Trico. Ignite goes down. He is going to fall. The last tick, that will be first blood for Morshoes.
That's exactly what you want to be doing as the Indeed's jungler. You're seeing Morshoes carry this series as strong as he is. Just go mid, especially with a character like Nunu. Great first gank.
And rough play there for Trico, trying to flash away from the Nunu, but just not quite able to buy enough space to escape from the knockup. And here comes the aggression from Orbit in bottom lane. Lands the winner's bite, but not too much follow-up. The volley comes out, and getting solid damage onto Randy Newman there is top lane. Hawaii versus Gaming trying to maintain a little pressure into the Renekton right now. Doesn't want to let Korean Banana get going too quickly up there, but it is an early 800 gold lead for Indeed thanks to that first blood. And actually, we have to note Hawaii versus Gaming leading in the CS department in topside.
Yeah, actually, he was building the slow push earlier during that Nunu mid gank. I think part of that was that the Renekton was allowing the wave to push back towards him. He didn't want to be pushing up to the tower at the same time as his jungler is ganking mid lane, or else they're creating more openings for the enemy to make a counterplay on the map. So I think that's a product of why we were seeing a CS discrepancy in top lane. It looks like now Korean Banana has caught up and closed the gap.
Definitely closes that up as some poke comes out from the Xerath, and Korean Banana goes in for a bit of a trade, heals back up with his Q, and Hawaii versus Gaming not going to feel too bad about that. Looks like Soaring Eagle is looking to set up the lane gank here. Orbit won't spot it out. Nope, here comes the Sejuani. Big trouble here as Orbit flashes away, but he's already burning from the Ignite. Here come the rockets from the Jinx, flash in, but Orbit's still alive. The pot saves his life. Bear King continuing to fire away, and Indeed will survive that gank. Randolph still firing out rockets here, but low on mana, will have to retreat.
Possibly the most tragic part of that gank is that Sejuani ended up splitting both targets nearly evenly there. She went and autoed the Braum twice, or no, the Ashe twice. Was it the Braum? She got autos on both of them.
Yes.
Before both of them ended up blowing their flashes. And as you know, Sejuani is a character that you need to get those autos on one target to land that stun.
Especially when you aren't bringing another
what a gank.
melee carry. Oh, into the tri-brush. The Nunu is here, but a beautiful tornado. Soaring Eagle gets the kill into Bear King. Does he keep going? Orbit's low. Risky. I like him backing away there, but still a great gank through the tri-brush. Gets a kill in the bottom lane.
Bubble lands. We're going to see a chunk. Oh, huge damage.
Trico, man.
But wow, Randy Newman with the Mad Life Tornado, seeing into the future, shooting that tornado over a wall, max charge, lands on both of the enemy duo for the first kill. Incredible play by the Janna.
Yeah, good job to set up that kill. It goes over to the jungler. Not ideal there, but Soaring Eagle does get moving and can just continue to try and be a presence on the map with that little bit of extra gold. Kind of take stock of items here. Double longsword and boots in the top lane for Korean Banana into an early Phage for Hawaii versus Gaming. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Trico, after getting killed so early and only having 26 CS to his name, is still sitting on just a single Doran's ring.
Oh no.
Meanwhile, Morshoes already has an Amp Tome, a Sapphire Crystal, and his boots as well, on top of his Doran's ring. So this mid lane looking very scary for Trico right now as he's really just sitting under tower waiting for the wave to come to him.
It's only going to get worse too. He has no TP, blue buff isn't spawning anytime soon, and the Zoe has mana regen, and it was able to get another tempo base back in here. Xerath is still staying in the lane, trying to shove this wave in before he can get his back timing. But at this point, is it too little too late? He's already down 20 CS. He's already back 2 waves in tempo, or 2 backs in tempo rather. He's not behind 1 back, but 2. That is a very insurmountable deficit to be on, or to be in.
Very scary for the Xerath, but the one thing that Ferocious Virgins can count on is that bottom lane already getting 1 kill down there, courtesy of Soaring Eagle in the play of their bottom lane. The great thing they can play around was the first part of that gank actually burned all 4 summoner spells for Indeed. So there's still an opportunity to get down here and make another play if Soaring Eagle comes down to that side. Soon he's up, clearing the top side Scuttle Crab at the moment. And about 1,000 gold lead for Indeed as we approach the 8-minute mark. And Indeed's pushing once again. So there is an opportunity if Soaring Eagle comes to this part of the map, but Polar Bear and More Shoes here looking to set up for the straight.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Soaring Eagle will be there anytime soon, since it seems he's doing a full clear there. He will probably end up on his Wolves and Grump before the moment in time where he's going to be looking for that gank. So we'll see what he does there, actually. It looks like he's going straight for the blue first.
I like this Indeed, trying to set up for the invade, but Orbit could be in trouble. Here comes the damage from the Xerath over the wall. Randy Newman will get the kill, and now they're looking for Polar Bear. The collapse isn't going to come. Bear King is going to get slow. This is big trouble here. No flash, no heal available. Bear King trying to run away. The Tornado will knock him up, and Randolph will get excited with that kill. A 3-1 lead here for Ferocious. They're looking for more. Glacial Prison onto more. She's trying to back away. A lot of damage onto the Zoe, who has to run. Polar Bear going to get locked down.
Nado.
The Tornado. Polar Bear's in trouble. Flashes over the wall. Soaring Eagle's burning. The heal from Randolph will keep him alive for now. Good ultimate from the Janna. More Shoes back under tower. They want to go for the dive here. This is so risky. Jinx doesn't have the rocket, but they're going to go for it. More Shoes does not get away. Randolph with 1. The second kill to Randy Newman, and Ferocious Virgins with the aggression around bot lane. They are in this game.
Wow, Ferocious Virgins absolutely popping off in this game 3. Their backs are against the wall, and they are really, really playing like it. We're seeing such huge things from taking the Sejuani away from this Nunu player and making it work in this game 3. Making so many moves, Sejuani with 100% kill participation, Balling with 100% kill participation, Randy Newman with so many nados. Oh my gosh, that guy does not miss.
And that was a huge gold swing. We were talking just moments ago about Indeed sitting on 1,000 gold lead, and now it is completely flip-flopped now, about a 1,500 gold lead for Ferocious. So that's a 2,500 gold swing in about 2 minutes time. So the proactivity in early game from Soaring Eagle is such a big part of this, working well with the bottom lane. And we talked about how that may be the opportunity, right? Attack Polar Bear's champion pool. They take away the Sejuani here, and now they're playing around Randolph and Randy Newman, and it's working out.
Oh, it really is working out. One thing that I noticed from game 1 from Ferocious is that, you know, despite them not being as strong individually in the laning phases, they are a very, very good team at playing reactively. And what we saw earlier, what started that whole thing at bot lane was Orbit was, oh wow, huge chunk there. Orbit was caught over the wall where Blast Cone usually is, but wasn't there. And oh wow, that damage from Randy Newman. Jinx is going for the kill. She has ult.
Orbit has to flash away there. So just like that, really feels like the summoner spells just came up, and the snipe, the rocket from Randolph will secure the kill here. Bear King, as we mentioned, no summoner spells there, will go down, and now that will mean an early Cloud Drake for Ferocious as Soaring Eagle has gotten down to the bottom side. Hawaii versus Gaming continuing to hold his own in the top lane. We'll update those CS numbers for you here in just a moment. Want to kind of keep an eye on that. He's actually up a little bit in CS here, but Kareem Banana wants to go in aggressively.
Here we go, the wet noodle fight in the top lane.
Here comes the Nunu. Polar Bears up here, but Hawaii versus Gaming able to back away. So things working out really outside of the mid lane, which is very scary right now, right? Trico has really had no presence on the map at all. Was able to ult in to that fight near Drake a couple minutes ago and certainly helped out, but hasn't done much else.
That's a long range arrow too.
Randolph has to get away, is going to get the soul into Orbit. Orbit has to back away as rockets will continue to come out from the Jinx. The tower is solo. So not only is that 100% kill participation for the bottom lane as Soaring Eagle gets down here. He's looking for Orbit. This is risky. Uh-oh, he's going to get stunned and taken down there. Bear King with the kill. A little bit of a misplay there. Orbit able to juke out from the Xerath ultimate, but Not only is it 100% kill participation from the bottom lane, but they've also gotten all of the tower plates in bottom lane pre-12 minutes. So that's a ton of gold in the Jinx's pocket.
Oh yeah, this is a Jinx's dream. Jinx
And
players,
first tower. They
oh,
just
and
got first tower.
Wow,
Oh,
okay.
man.
Yeah, Jinx players go to sleep, and this is what they want to dream about, but they never do. They never experience this, especially in a fives match, no less. This guy's having the game of his life.
Trico trying to run away from more shoes here as the poke is coming out from the Zoe. Things are very scary for Trico, trying to escape the range so long for more shoes here. Can he land the paddle star? Yes, he will. Trico will fall, and more shoes is on the board.
More shoes, once again, he's really taking control of this mid lane matchup. However, this game in particular, usually it's him taking control and the rest of his team is, pushing their own advantages across the map. This time, it's only him. He's the one win condition that his team has going into this mid game. Let's see if he's able to keep up this pressure.
You mentioned earlier when highlighting the bottom lane, specifically the AD carry matchup, was that it was really kind of the mid game in the Ashe versus the late game of Randolph. And with a 3-0 and 3 scoreline, Randolph is going to hit that game a lot earlier here. Rift Herald was picked up by Indeed, and they do drop it in mid lane to secure that tier 1 tower. They won't get the charge onto the tier 2 as Ferocious has been able to respond. They're actually looking to go in. Morshu's in trouble, forced to flash over the wall. Here comes Randy Newman needing that big tornado. Won't knock up Orbit, but the follow-up is on its way. The arrow will hit Trico. No follow-up from Indeed means that the Xerath is safe for now. Glacial Prison nearly available for the Sejuani, but Soaring Eagle is fairly low, so he's just going to go back for his clear.
Yeah, that looked like a pretty choppy start, pretty scrappy start, but ultimately they got Zoe's real flash out there, and they have Sejuani, and Sejuani's ult is up. So ultimately, as weird as that might have looked, I think that was a good move by Ferocious. I think that was a very good, proactive, assertive move. Sejuani was able to make that move, but right before her ult came up, maybe if she had the ult, that would have looked a lot better. But hey, now she has ult against a flash of Zoe. That's a situation I would take any day.
Y versus Gaming looking for the early black cleaver here to try and hold on in the
Janus will
1v1.
split.
Randy Newman with a good tornado there.
Yeah,
Is
no
knocked
Astro,
out by
though.
the Glacial Fissure. But here comes the follow-up. They're going to get
Johnny
onto
with
Orbit. The Rocket's firing away. Here comes the ultimate from the Xerath. Orbit's locked down. He's going to fall to Randy Newman. Another kill for Ferocious as they get control of topside river.
Wow, Randy Newman is giving me goosebumps over here. He is making it all happen as a Janna player, no less. Huge damage there on the jungler.
Oh, Soaring Eagle, that electrocute proc, taking him down to about 100 health. He has to Arctic Assault away from a very scary Zoe and will look to return to base here. Lane swap from Indeed moves Bear King up to the top lane, but the Janna Jinx combo are up here to try and pressure another tower, and Bear King's alone for the moment. They're going to get a good chunk out of that tower if they looked for it.
Yeah, here we can see that Indeed is about to have an opening, actually. Here we see Sejuani's pathing bot side because all of her bot side camps are up, all of her top side camps are down. Meanwhile, Nunu is pathing towards his blue buff, and here we see both 2v2 lanes are out here alone on top lane. This may be Indeed's first real opportunity to shut down this bot lane matchup for as long as Sejuani is stuck on bot side.
The one good thing for Ferocious is they've littered that topside river with wards.
They
They
have.
want to protect Randolph and Randy Newman, and they've done so. They spot out the movements from Indeed towards the top side. Randolph and Randy Newman back away. They do not want to give up all the gold that they're sitting on. Meanwhile, bottom lane, the top laners are here dueling it out.
Here's Sejuani.
Kareem Banana doesn't have a tower to retreat to. He's going to have to get away. No Glacial Prison for Soaring Eagle means that the slice will get Korean Banana away from trouble. Hawaii versus Gaming can just sustain up as that lane is reset. And Bear King, as well as Orbit, looking to pressure top side. The Jinx and Janna actually leaving top lane alone, so this will be 3-man pressure from Indeed. This should be an easy second tower for them on the top side.
Yeah, it absolutely will be a free tower. However, I do want to point out that I totally agree with Ferocious's decision about... Oh!
Over the wall, Morshu's in
Oh
trouble.
my lord.
Soaring Eagle with the kill, and you're trying to set up there. It's an Infernal Drake that they're training for.
Oh, yeah, no, that was huge. It was such a good move from Ferocious. Again, Randy Newman not missing nados. That guy is incredible. But more importantly, Ferocious Virgins, they're like I mentioned earlier, their Sejuani was stuck on bot side for a while. Their 2v2 was alone top, and they knew that the enemy blue buff was spawning soon. So backing there, losing your tower, and just walking away from it, not even attempting to defend it, I thought that was a phenomenal play there. Especially because they did it so early, they were able to get to mid on time to help facilitate that Inferno Dragon take. Ferocious is showing such great presence of mind here in their objective-based play.
And now they move Trico down to the bottom lane to pick up those waves. He still has a tower to retreat to there, and they'll rotate their pressure to mid lane as
arrow.
Randolph is here. The arrow lands onto the Janna, but Polar Bear cannot step forward with the threat of the damage from this Jinx. Orbit wants to get in. Glacial Fissure is available, but he can't get in range. Randolph can back away. Has both summoners available, so really this Jinx is kind of playing with house money at this point. 3-0-5 score. Has the Infinity Edge as well as the Berserker Greaves and the Zeal. So the Jinx starting to look very, very scary here. And
Oh, she's on her 2 item already. At 17 minutes, that's very early.
Geez.
Very early activate. At this rate, Jinx is going to hit her late game before Ashe hits her mid game.
So the one thing we do have to take note here, there's a couple different options for the way you can build an Ashe right now. We see a lot of Triforce is very popular. It is the Comet Ashe this time around in the early Essence Reaver. So Bear King looks like he's really aiming to be an ult bot in the early game. His arrows have been very on point throughout them. This first 18 minutes has not really been missing any. So
Well, he
it's
hasn't
certainly
been
working
missing
out.
them, but the problem is they haven't really been effective either, have they?
There hasn't been enough follow-up.
Yeah.
It really seems like.
It seems like these arrows are usually used defensively or as a form of just another form of damage in these fights. Oh, wow, here we see Ferocious really, really heavily out-rotating indeed. Getting Jinx in any situation where you're trading towers is optimal. That is very close to what you ideally want to be doing as a Jinx.
And that's a 2-for-1 trade. They took both Tier 1 and 2 in mid lane just for the cost of the Tier 1 bottom lane. So huge push there for Ferocious. And we mentioned it last game when that Tier 1 fell in mid in favor of Indeed, that it opens up so much more room for you to pressure on the map, get vision down in your enemy's jungle. And when you knock down a consecutive Tier 1 and 2, it makes that even scarier for Indeed. So there's going to be red team wards all over their jungle.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, the only silver lining is Ferocious doesn't have a very strong pick-based team comp. Oh, here we see Sejuani going in.
Oh, here comes the collapse, the tornado onto Orbit. He's going to get caught by the Glacial
That's Sejuani
Prison.
ult.
Having to flash away. There is the set trying to get away, but
Oh,
that's the
that damage.
shutdown. The Jinx is dead. Trico has to retreat. Here comes Hawaii versus Gaming trying to take out more shoes. A lot of damage. Trico
Wow.
will take down the Zoe. Flash away for Hawaii versus Gaming. Can he escape? The slows from Bear
He's
King isn't
rolling in.
enough. Hawaii versus Gaming so low, and Korean Banana grabs the kill. It's a 3-for-1 trade in favor of Indeed.
Wow, so I was going to say, one thing that was going so well for Ferocious throughout this game is their reactive play is impeccable. Every time Indeed makes a move themselves and that move isn't ideal, Ferocious will punish and punish. But the thing is, when Ferocious makes their own proactive plays, they don't seem to be... They're not quite concrete enough, you know?
Yeah.
They gave way too much there. And given these team compositions, when you are a late game-based team comp that won the early game, the very last thing you want is a mid-game team fight that is at all favored for the enemy team.
That gold lead has shrunk to just 500 gold at this point for Ferocious. They obviously have the Infernal and Cloud Drakes in their pocket in a 1-tower lead so far as they were able to bust open mid lane. And with Baron spawning, this is going to be a very contentious area of the map. Both of these teams going to look to set up vision around that topside river. Orbit looking to clear it out.
So one thing worth mentioning now that we are about... Ooh, Facer can right into the bit.
This is very risky, but Hawaii versus Gaming can step forward. The Garen is fairly tanky at this point and can buy a lot of time.
Yeah, so I want to mention, so when it comes to this whole Baron dance, when teams are 4v4 or 5v5 around Baron, Indeed has an undeniably stronger team composition. And for one reason only, Zoe is very OP in these situations. Ferocious has a decent response in poke and range in the Xerath, and they have a decent form of engage in the Sejuani. But the thing is, they don't have any more than those two champions for those two purposes. Whereas Zoe can do both. She's got your long-range engage with a bubble that can go over 2 walls. She's got your long-range poke. She's got more damage than both Sejuani and Xerath combined. I think as long as this Baron dance situation continues, as long as Indeed doesn't make a little bit too much of an overstep, you know, the kind of moves that Ferocious has been punishing throughout this game, I think Indeed will start to slowly eke out and regain an advantage in this mid game.
And the other problem here is Indeed has their teleport available, so they can throw Korean Banana in the bottom lane to push, and then he can rejoin his team at the Baron. Meanwhile, Hawaii versus Gaming still has just over 3 minutes left on that cooldown, and he's really the main one that has to respond to Korean Banana, but he doesn't have the teleport available, so it's really going to be on the Garen to try and cancel that teleport with his silence. Otherwise, it could be a 4v5, and Ferocious Virgins could be in trouble. We'll see here as The Nunu trying to set something
Arrow
up in
coming
mid
up.
lane.
Good
Arrow
sidestep by the
will
Jinx.
miss.
And that's another arrow, by the way, that Ash is trying to throw in at Randolph that he's able to sidestep. However,
Oh, big trouble here. That's the Glacial Prison onto Randolph. Oh, good
Randolph
cancel
lives.
onto the Nunu ultimate, and Trico grabs a kill on Polar Bear. Indeed is in retreat, but here
Green
comes
Banana
Korean
going in.
Banana. He's going in aggressively. He's going to take out Soaring Eagle, the kill credit to Orbit there. So, indeed, able to salvage a kill out of that fight that looked very scary. The
my
snipe
lord.
onto Randolph, and Morshoes will run for his life, but indeed can still pressure this mid lane. Randy Newman is so low, he has to be careful. One stray paddle star from the Zoe could take him out, but Morshoes is going to back. So that's actually 2 for 1 there in favor of Indeed. They can't really pressure the tower, but still more gold into their pockets.
wow, I really gotta admit, I'm actually on the edge of my seat. That team fight looked like it started horribly. Ferocious should have gotten annihilated. Their Jinx ate a sleeping trouble bubble from a Zoe. You know, that's typically the one condition that you're looking for as Indeed to win a fight. But somehow Randolph was able to survive that initial first few seconds. And if he didn't get caught by that by the very tip of that last Zoe Q at the very last part of that fight, that could have been a very huge shift in momentum towards Ferocious in terms of Baron control and controlling mid lane. Unfortunately, Zoe's able to land that very last Q, and here we see Ferocious. You know, they're still able to get Baron control with their priority, but I don't think that control will last much longer.
We'll have to see how things shake out. We could take stock of summoner spells. Very important that Randolph actually survived that long in that last fight without any summoner spells.
No QSS either.
Yeah, so the Jinx still very scary, sitting on 3 items, has that rapid fire cannon, so the double Zeal items are online for Randolph. 3, 2, and 6 scoreline.
We see Ash is building the Triforce as well, so we should see an activation from her in probably the next 4 to 5 minutes.
That's going to be a lot of volley poke from this Ash. Randolph just clearing out the wave in mid. Cloud Drake is live, but both teams know the inflection point of this game is going to be that Baron Hawaii versus Gaming. Still in the bottom lane. Appears, I would say, less than a minute left on that teleport cooldown.
Here we see Ash is holding her ultimate and Xerath is throwing on the top lane. If I was Indeed, I think this next mini wave at mid might be an opportunity as they invade the topside jungle.
They take the Scuttle Crab, so they will have secured vision near that Baron for the next couple of minutes. Snowball, good tornado there from Randy Newman to zone away Polo Bear, who really has not had a big effect in this game so far. It hasn't cost Indeed this game yet, but the Nunu has really been largely a non-factor here as Ferocious Virgins trying to contest this vision set up by Indeed. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Korean Banana going very aggressively for that tower. He is going to take the tier 2. Glacial Prison is down as we saw Soaring Eagle miss that one in the mid lane, trying to catch out Bear King. Did force out the flash from the Ash, so key to note that, but still the heal available for Bear King.
Oh, trouble lands. So here I think we're seeing one of the reasons why Ferocious does so well with the Shen, and probably one of the reasons why Hawaii has such priority on it. Without the Shen, Hawaii is not really timing his visits to bot lane and his visits to mid lane on tempo. Korean Banana took a totally free bot tower there. He didn't have to burn TP. He didn't have to escape a gank. It was totally free. If that Garen is a Shen, that never happens. And that's really quite unfortunate.
The one good thing for Ferocious Virgins is that teleport is now available. So Hawaii versus Gaming can join the team at a moment's notice near that Baron. So really at this point, there's almost no reason to bring the Garen mid lane if that wave is not in your favor in bot lane. The lane nearly reset, but Korean Banana back down to the bot side to get that pushing. So the Garen will immediately respond.
Yeah, here we're seeing a slight lull in the pace of the game, and I think this overall, it benefits Ferocious Virgins. Ideally, especially if the Jinx is building QSS here, this is a great part of the game to cover all your holes. You've got your hyper carries, the enemy team is hitting their power spike. This is the point of the game where you want to farm safely and get your QSSs ready so that you can start carrying these late game team fights.
I don't think it is though with because QSS or Mercurial Scimitar builds out of Pickaxe. Uh-oh, big trouble here.
She's not building it,
Bear King over the wall, yeah. It looks like possibly a Bloodthirster buy for that lifesteal.
Oh, arrow lands.
Uh-oh, big
Great
trouble
arrow.
here for Soaring Eagle. A lot of damage coming out from the
good damage
Jinx.
for
Randolph
Jinx.
firing away on the front
Wow.
line. The tanks are in trouble. The Super Mega Death Rocket won't get a kill yet, but it doesn't matter as Polar Bear falls. Here comes Randolph. He's excited
Jinx is
and
flashing
looking
forward.
for more.
Still
That's
going.
a double for
Reactive
Randolph.
flashes on Jinx.
Uh-oh, Korean Banana into the backline, getting a ton of damage. That's 2 kills. Looking for a third as Bear King takes down Soaring Eagle. Randy Newman has to run. Trico's in trouble as well. Bear King needs a good volley here, but Trico will be able to escape. It's a 2-4-2. And the teams will reset once more.
Meanwhile, Garen is still zoning the Zoe at the very left of the fight. Looks like that just ended. Wow, what an incredible team fight. If Randolph didn't flash forward there at the very end of it, maybe we would have seen something entirely different, but great punish from Korean Banana to just jump right onto him and punish that flash.
Yeah, great job recognizing that the Jinx was extremely vulnerable. I think the biggest part of that was obviously Randolph flashing forward, but there was so much of a gap between him and Randy Newman that the Janna wasn't there to protect him. And it cost the Jinx her life.
Absolutely. I think, indeed, going for the Baron just then, that may have canceled out any advantage they got from that team fight, I would say. They're going to totally lose control of the Baron, at least during this back timing. We'll see if Ferocious is able to take more with it.
The Cloud Drake still up. We're at 27, near 28 minutes, and only 2 Drakes have been taken. So that shows really this dance around Baron has been going on for a while. We'll have to see if anybody goes down there. It really seems like neither of these teams want to take that objective at this point because it seems like they both recognize that as soon as they go down to that part of the map, the other team is going to immediately go on to the Baron. So
Yeah.
they will wait.
If anything, I think the best opportunity to take that dragon would be the net. So here we see Korean Banana is pushing this bot wave up, right, while the Garen is on top side. So I think their best opportunity would be when Korean Banana is done. Oh, here's the engage.
Oh, they're going to get onto orbit here with the Glacial Fissure to respond, and the Randy Newman's dead. Good job by Morshoes to take out the support. Now it's the 4v5. Korean Banana roaming up to join his team. Looks like they want to look for this Baron. There's the arrow onto Soaring Eagle. Up in the front line, Hawaii versus Game and trying to zone them away. Here comes a Jinx. Randolph firing away. Orbit throws up the wall to try and protect the backline, but down goes Trico. Morshoes with another kill. Soaring Eagle, can he escape? It is not enough. The rocket will miss wide and indeed turns back to the Baron with 5.
Wow, what an incredible pick from Morshoes. I think Janna she may have been the most important target there besides Jinx. Definitely more important than the Xerath in that situation. And, you know, taking her out, this Baron, I don't see a way that Ferocious can really contest it.
The one thing they have here is Indeed's not taking it very quickly, and Randolph can try and threaten. He doesn't have the ultimate, the Super Mega Death Rocket, but he can fire over the wall. Does he go for it? Okay, it will be secured. Baron Nashor taken by Morshoes there. So Indeed, with the Baron buff here, near 30 minutes, and they're going to look to try and build a lead here. They're up about 4,500 gold, up a single tower, and this may be the opportunity that they've needed to try and bust open the base.
Yeah, you know, Indeed, I think they really got a godsend there with that pick on the Janna. This mid, I mean, like we said, Indeed does have the advantage around Baron. I think it was only a matter of time until they got a pick with that kind of potential. But, you know, if that never happened, if that game state continued for the next 10 minutes without either side breaking any ground, I think Ferocious definitely comes into the late game with a huge advantage. So Indeed really needed that to happen, and, you know, they're definitely in the driver's seat now that it has.
The timing works out for Indeed, and now they are working with a Baron buff. 30 minutes in. Both teams now starting to play around this Drake. So with the Baron off the table, priority shifts towards the next neutral objective. Polar Bear will clear out a word and start up the Cloud Drake. It's not huge for either of these teams. Obviously, the rotations have looked fairly good from Ferocious throughout the game, and adding another Cloud Drake on top of the one they already own certainly helps with that, but I don't think they're going to feel too bad about losing this Drake. I think they just feel worse about not being able to grab the Baron as the Cloud Drake is secured. And now they're just trying to clear waves as best they can. Randolph in the mid lane. Hawaii versus Gaming still matched up against Korean Banana topside. And the Garen has looked fine throughout this game. 2.5 items at this point. Has the Thorn Mail to try and continue to deal with this Renekton. And he's holding his own. Sadly, Korean Banana has been able to pop off in a couple of these team fights and really threaten Randolph, and that's how he's gotten going. The arrow will miss from Bear King, but they're going to continue to try and push onto this tower. Wave clear coming out from the Jinxes. Holding the tower for now for Ferocious, but Indeed is just looking for that sleepy trouble bubble. Can Morshoes land it onto the bottom lane here to try and get things going?
I do want to point out, if Ferocious is able to hold all 3 inhibs during this Baron buff siege, that is huge for them. That is a strong indicator that they may actually just auto-win this game as it goes into late game. However, this mid tower is getting really low. She's expecting D to make a move pretty soon.
Oh no,
my
goodbye
lord.
Trico. The redemption will reset a
another
bit there
landed.
for Indeed. They're looking for the damage onto Soaring Eagle. The Paddle Star takes Soaring Eagle down to less than 100 health. Super Mega Death Rocket will miss there, so no ultimate for the Jinx. The flash was forced. Now they're in the fight, and he's caught by the arrow. Glacial Fissure will knock him up once more. He's going to go down orbit with the kill. Here comes the response. Can they get onto Bear King? They cannot. More shoes with the kill onto Soaring Eagle. And here comes Indeed. They've been down for so long in this game, but More Shoes has finally found the window to pop off, and they're looking for the base. Indeed, now on to the Nexus Towers. Hawaii versus Gaming, trying to protect, trying to hold on as best he can. The Tornado will buy time, but it will not be enough. The ultimate from the Xerath cannot take out Bear King. The Nexus will fall, and Indeed, with a huge 3-0 win over Ferocious Virgins, will give them 20 points and a huge, huge gap in the Central region.
Oh, dude, did you see that last Q on Janna just now?
So
So
good.
Zoe is so impressive. Wow.
Oh, man.
You know, really, Ferocious played a terrific game that game. I was really impressed. But I was just so impressed with Ferocious's macro play that game. But you know, it seems like in just 2 moments, it all went to naught. You know, one moment, Janna gets full to zeroed from Fog. Next moment, someone gets full to so I think it was Xerath got full to zeroed under tower.
Yep.
By an Ashe arrow and a Zoe Q. I don't think she even landed the bubble. That's just really frustrating as Ferocious. You know, when you play that clean of a game, you know, you come back from 2 games down and you're coming out, you know, swinging. You're coming out really gaining some momentum, really getting something out on the board for yourself. And two instant pops and you lose the series. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think it really goes back to what we were talking about at the end of draft, where we were looking for maybe a very easy to execute composition, the very straightforward engage, and they had a little bit of that in the Sejuani, but maybe not quite enough. And it seemed like it really worked out early when they were playing just around bottom lane, the 3v2s, 3v3s. But as soon as they got to the 5v5 team fights, the Sejuani was never quite enough to get the team fight started that they need, and we never saw them win a 5v5. Right? There was a couple times where they traded 1 for 1, 2 for 2, but they never got that big 5v5 team fight win that they needed to blow that game open, either get a Baron or break the base. And then it just meant that even with the late game composition, that heavy Baron threat and so much poke coming from the Zoe was just too much for Ferocious Virgins to handle.
Yeah, exactly. When you rotate your Jinx out of bot lane, the one thing you need to happen in mid game is either you're not dying, or if there are fights happening, Jinx is dead live at the end of those fights.
Yep.
She doesn't need to be getting kills. She doesn't need to be breaking towers. She just needs to be alive.
Yep.
And I think one of the biggest things that happened in that mid game was all these fights that were breaking out. Jinx was dying in them. If she was surviving the first part of it, the second part of it, she would find a way to go for a little bit more, go a little bit more forward, and then make sure that she's dead by the end of it. And that's really unfortunate. If she was able to stay alive a little bit longer in that mid game, I think we could have seen a much different result for Ferocious there.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to point out as well. I already forgot it. You can go on.
That's okay. We will definitely have tons more action to break down tonight. That closes it out for the Central region with a big win there for Indeed. But when we return from this break, we'll have action coming from the West. Stick with us, folks. We'll be back in just a few.
fight he wants. Benji, can he escape? He will not. The Kled grabs it. Is still available. Gino says, there's the Shurima shuffle. The Cataclysm catches two. The Shockwave will trade back as Gino sends it down. But here comes HS. Watch away from XU. He will survive for the moment. That's the double kill for Benji. The triple for the
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Yeso and Latman here as we shift our focus from the central region over to the west. Our first game for you will be Titan Gaming versus Peaked High School. Both of these teams down in the losers bracket after dropping their first games, but they still have a chance to claw their way back as it is double elimination. We do have to actually correct something with from earlier in the broadcast. Alab actually snuck in right at the last minute into that western bracket, so they are here. Very important. Them and Grizzly Gaming are on separate sides of the bracket tonight, so possibility that we could see those two match up at the end of the night. We are going to head into Champion Select here. So we already actually got that one going. So we are about to get into the second band phase here. Caitlyn Morgana, bottom lane for the side of Titan. Really love that. And one thing we have to note here, that's an early Volibear pick for Peaked High School. If you're looking at the LEC, there's a possibility that could be a support Volibear.
Yeah.
Definitely viable. Has returned to the meta at least a little bit. Or, you know, if you're playing a Glacial comp, maybe it's going to impact in the top lane. So we'll have to see how things shake out.
Yeah, I do want to point out that if I was looking for the support Volibear, again, some of you guys who may not have been tuning into the competitive leagues as much might be seeing this and thinking, what the heck? And you're right too. I don't think I would ever pick the Volibear support into a Morgana.
No.
Because, you know, Volibear has one thing that he does. He runs up to you. No, he has two things. He runs at you, then he flips you. He can't flip you without running at you. And while he runs at you, you can probably get Morgana shield off. So that seems like a pretty bad support matchup. Now, examples of characters that are better to pick the Volibear into, like let's say you see a Yuumi. Yuumi will never do anything to you as a Volibear support. You will eat that matchup every time you have Flash up, every time you have Predator up. But here, I just don't really see the Volibear doing that much.
We'll have to see. Titan Gaming seems to think that that would be a top lane Volibear with that Yuumi ban. And Peaked High School focusing the solo lanes, Renekton and Ari off of the board here in the second phase. They already have the J4 here for TK Wicked, one of those staple early priority junglers. They can get into those lanes early, so we'll have to see how that works out for Peaked.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out is I do like the Zac pick here. As an Ashe player, back when I was playing in competitive League of Legends, I'll tell you, one of the junglers that I'm most afraid of, most terrified of whenever I'm playing Ashe, it's Zac. There is nothing you're going to do as an Ashe player against Zac. If Zac is anywhere near you, he's going to get on you. There's nothing you can do to stop it. You're basically at your team's mercy. Now, Janna is a great pick for dealing with that Zac, however.
Yeah, something like the Janna or the Thresh that can interrupt that elastic slingshot certainly can be very powerful into the Zac, and the Janna does have the ultimate as well as the tornado to try and interrupt the engage from Train there. So certainly an opportunity for Peak to try and protect those priority targets, but a Riven locked in here, most likely going to go to Abandon in the top lane, and that would tell me Titan thinking Riven into the Volibear. What do you think about that matchup?
You know, so I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm a top lane main, because I'm not a top lane main. But what I will say is I feel like Riven seems to benefit off of champions that can't survive 2 rotations of her Q spell in an extended trade. And I look at Volibear and I feel like, yeah, he should be able to survive. He should be able to outdamage her if he's even in items. So but the thing is, you know, I could be totally wrong. I haven't played against a Riven main in a while, especially as a champion like Volibear. So we'll see how it goes.
Definitely a lane we'll have to keep an eye on here. And the Twisted Fate, the last pick here for the side of Peaked High School, getting some of that global map pressure with his ultimate. So an interesting selection there for Guitar Gunner. And there are your compositions. So the Volibear, obviously with the Janna locked in, does confirm that up to the top side. Anything that stands out to you here in these compositions as we close out Champion Select?
So, I mean, undeniably, the Volibear top lane definitely stands out. I don't know if that was an attempted flex or if they just went and blind picked their top laner Volibear in the very first pick of the draft. If it was a flex, it was a flex into a Morgana support, so not a really strong flex. Other things that stand out, obviously the Zac is something that you don't see every day, but it is a very effective pick into Ashe and pretty effective into Twisted Fate as well. I also do wonder if that Twisted Fate is an AP or attack speed build. I don't know if it's all that common, but I have been seeing some attack speed TF, especially over in the European leagues, and it looks pretty strong. I don't know if I would say its numbers are like game breaking or anything, but it's definitely playable.
It's probably not preferred for peaked in this situation. You've already got plenty of attack damage picked up here. You've got the J4, the Ashe, and the Volibear. So you're looking to bring some more magic damage, so I would expect more of an AP heavy build here from Guitar Gunner. Will be matched up into the Nico here, and we get to see Stun Daddy on the Morgana paired up with the Caitlyn. Very common bottom lane pair, very strong. We always talk about you get the Dark Binding into the free Yordle Snap Trap for the Caitlyn. Sets up a lot of damage, getting those free headshots. So can be a very scary lane there. Obviously, you have the Janna to try and mitigate some of that damage with the shields, but it's a very immobile bottom lane there. So Stun Daddy really should have a fairly easy time trying to land those Dark Bindings, so we'll see how that lane shakes out. Could be a big inflection point here if Titan Gaming can get that Caitlyn rolling. Could be very scary. If you're peaked high school, what is the part of the map that you're really trying to play around? You've got a J4 that can try and affect these lanes early. Are you looking to go mid or top? Or maybe if this Caitlyn Morgana lane is pushing like you would probably anticipate it will into the Ashe Janna is maybe the bottom lane, a place you can attack?
So let's see. If I was peaked high school here, what I would start with is, Jarvan has a pretty strong early gank, a pretty strong level 2 cheese. If I ever was going to visit bottom, I think that would be the only time I would do it. Reason being, like you mentioned, the Caitlyn Morgana does have strong kill pressure on the Ashe Janna if they land a binding. However, let's assume the Morgana doesn't get any, at mid-range bindings. Like her only bindings are max range, assuming that the Ashe Janna are playing properly. Ashe Janna should out trade, and they should out pressure pre-level 5. If the Caitlyn Morgana decides to play wave instead and simply uses pool and Q on every minion wave, that won't happen. They're going to be stuck on their tower the entire time, and that will suck. But if they are able to keep themselves away from the tower, keep the Caitlyn Morgana away from their tower, and continue to land poke with volleys, continue to land poke with Janna Ws, I think that lane matchup can go pretty well. It could be something that you could avoid. So that being said, I think the jungler should probably focus top. Simply because it's a Riven lane.
Yeah.
And you've got a champion like Volibear. Yeah, do not let that Riven get rolling, especially with a champion like Volibear. Like, I mean, me and you can both, we probably don't know the extent of the Riven Volibear matchup as well as they do. But I think that's definitely what's going to decide this game, is which one of those split pushers are going to start winning that side lane matchup. I don't think it's a matchup where either of one of them can take it back once they start losing,
Yeah, and that Riven can be very scary if she gets going trying to dive the backline, right? You're going to have the Zac trying to slingshot into the back, trying to get on top of the Ashe and the TF, and if you've got a 3, 4, 5 kill Riven following that up, I mean, those carries can blow up very quickly, so if you can keep the Riven down, you maybe get a little more breathing room for your Ashe and your TF to become effective in these mid-game fights, right? We were talking last game about the Ashe hits that kind of 1 to 2 item spike, gets in the mid-game firing out arrows. We'll have to see what kind of build they go for here. You can go for maybe more of the attack speed oriented build, a little more of the on-hit, but still the possibility to go for Essence Reaver, Triforce, be that ult bot, and that kind of upfront burst. Getting volley out, that cooldown gets very low, so there's certainly some options there, but I like trying to keep the Riven down. Could open up some opportunities for peaked in this mid-late game.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking, jungler visiting top lane might not be the strongest engine for shutting down that Riven. What we might possibly see is the Jarvan might end up visiting mid most frequently levels 1 through 5 in order to open up the TF, give him a summoner advantage, maybe a mini wave advantage, and use that use the results of that advantage from mid to translate. Oh, wow, that was a really early flash.
And also flashing towards the wall. Yeah. That was super risky for Peanut Butter. I'll use air quotes here, works out for the Ashe because Peanut Butter doesn't die, but I don't know about that.
Excuse me, the chat says. Yeah, that's definitely, if any of you guys are watching and are thinking, how can I punish that as Titan Gaming? As soon as you see Ashe flash there and you are the Nico, and if you went snare, you just flash snare right after. And that is free every time, baby.
Especially considering Peanut Butter didn't really flash away from them. So there was certainly an opportunity there. They don't punish it yet, but there is obviously the opportunity to try and get down to that bot lane early. But that'll be up to Gluttony and Stun Daddy maybe to take a little less of aggressive approach onto the waves. As you mentioned, maybe you aren't pooling the waves, trying to let the Ashe Janna push into you and set maybe Train up to get down there. The ganks from the Zac are not as powerful until you've got about 3 points in that slingshot. You still have some options there, and if there is less vision, maybe you can get into the river and get that slingshot off in Fog of War. So there's certainly opportunities there, but it won't be as strong early on, and especially not until you get
Oh,
the
interesting.
less bounce
Oh, it
available.
looks like we're seeing a level 2 gank coming down at bottom from Titan Gaming. Their bot lane is still not showing in the lane. This should be totally telegraphed. If bot lane has not shown up by now, Peaked High School has to be thinking something is up.
They're waiting a long time. That's a beautiful slingshot. The lockdown with the binding, and they will punish the lack of a flash on the Ashe. Doesn't even use the heal. I like that from Peanut Butter, recognizing that there was no way he could survive there. But that's first blood for Train and the Zac with a great start here. That is so telegraphed, right? If you're Peaked High School and you're 2 minutes in and you have not seen anything of your opponent's bottom lane, you cannot push that lane. You need to recognize some sort of cheese is happening, and you should be very scared.
Right. Something I do want to point out there is some of you in the chat might be thinking, well, what were they supposed to do? Because right at the moment where you said they should be, feeling suspicious, they walked to river, and it looked like they did want to go for that ward. You actually don't need to go for the ward there. If you know for sure that something fishy is happening in bot lane, you actually walking up river and going for that ward is what's giving them the opportunity to kill you. If you simply stay in the lane, as far away from river as possible, mind you, in fact, you should be staying in the lane bushes, you therefore minimize the chance of the gank succeeding, even though you're not actually going out there and placing a ward, because you're already positioning like you expect the gank to come. You don't need to see the gank coming because you already have a good idea that it is.
Where
great
else are they
binding.
going to come from? Peanut Butter taking more damage here. The
Yes,
headshot. That's the Pilt over Peacemaker. A lot of damage on a Peanut Butter. Forced to use the heal, so that will be no summoner spells for the peaked bottom laner. Has to juke out another binding, but a rough start from the peaked bottom lane here.
So
as
rough.
This Caitlyn Morgana bottom lane putting up so much
flashing forward
pressure.
with the ignite.
Zachary with the solo kill. Guitar Gunner caught by the snare.
In the trap.
Flash ignite. Gluttony with a kill in the bottom lane. Peanut Butter caught in the binding under tower, and that's a kill for Gluttony.
What a suffocating start from Titan Gaming. Absolutely have to say their bot lane is in total control. Mid lane with full tempo advantage and, mind you, a solo kill. And it looks like they can go for a tower plating here as well.
Wicked has not even had the opportunity to put any pressure on the map, and his team is already down 3 kills. It's a near 2,000 gold lead for Titan Gaming, and we haven't even hit the 5-minute mark. And the problem is, this Caitlyn Morgana is only going to get more oppressive.
Yeah.
They're very annoying those first few levels, but it's only going to get scarier for Peanut Butter and Lonely Lion down here. So Peaked High School really has their work cut out for them.
Yeah, what's really unfortunate is, like I mentioned earlier, the Ashe Janna starts this lane with trade pressure, right? But when you're already down 0-2 by 4 minutes 30 seconds, not only have you lost that window where your lane is supposed to be stronger, but you've accelerated the game state for the enemy lane to start breaking open the map and start, pushing their win conditions. It's really a double-edged sword here, and I'm pretty worried for Peak's bot lane.
Wicked down to the bottom lane, trying to set something up. He's out of vision, so they
23,
could look to catch Train. He is going to knock him out of the slingshot. There's actually could be a lot of damage, but the collapse is on its way. Stun Daddy going to get knocked up. It's still the 1v1 between the junglers, and Wicked will actually be able to force out the Zac passive. Here comes the collapse from the bottom lane. Teleport coming out onto the blob, and Wicked has to get away. Flag and drag over the wall into the Drake pit. He will eat some damage from the Infernal. The only line staying way too long. The Riven's going to grab a kill, and Bandon takes down the only Lion, and that's going to feel really bad for the Volibear topside, holding his own, down a little bit in CS, but keeping the Riven at bay for the moment. But Bandon gets to teleport bot lane and get a kill.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate because up until this point, Peaked High School was suffering casualties across the board, but top lane was, their chance, was their best shot at having some form of advantage in the mid game. Although yes, the Volibear was behind in farm, you know, Zach is putting so much resources into balling here that Jarvan could have probably tried to help Volibear find an opportunity to get a lead up there. But, you know, with Riven having a kill now, with Riven having a slight CS lead now as well, and with her pathing top lane just in time to catch this wave that Volibear is crashing, it's hard to imagine that Volibear is going to have another opportunity to gain, you know, a sizable enough advantage in the early game to be that one win con that his team needs in the mid game.
Things looking very scary for Peaked High School right now. Down 4-0 in kills and over a 2,000 goal lead for Titan Gaming as they have full control of the map right now. The Caitlyn already with a BF sword, a 1-0 and 2 scoreline, and Zachary putting up a lot of pressure in mid lane. You talked earlier about hopefully Wicked trying to get into mid lane early, open up the map for Guitar Gunner's TF, but with the solo kill going over to the Nico and Guitar Gunner just trying to pick up waves as they push up to his tower, the TF has hit level 6, but there's going to be so much pressure here for the Nico instead of the Twisted Fate that really may not look like he can take advantage of that ultimate anytime soon.
Yeah, you know, it's starting to even look like we may start seeing in 2 to 3 minutes, Jarvan may not be able to farm his topside jungle at this rate. Obviously, right now we're seeing him, you know, he's getting through that jungle undisturbed. But if Zoe's able to keep up this dynamic from mid lane, she should be able to get a word on those rates sometime soon. And Jarvan's looking really squishy for a level 7 Zoe. Balling walking up, misses the binding.
Oh, Peanut Butter just escaping from trouble there, able to sidestep the Dark Binding from Stun Daddy.
Here we have Stun Daddy. Here we have two of Titan Gaming's. Oh, binding lands.
Big trouble here for Peanut Butter. The trap is down. The headshots come through, and the Piltover Peacemaker will finish that one off
as well.
The trap behind the Janna. Leonly Lion walks right on top of it, and the kill goes to the Morgana. A solo kill in mid lane as Zachary takes down Guitar Gunner, and things are falling apart for Peaked.
Wow. Once again, death comes in threes for Peaked High School. As soon as their bot lane dies, mid lane dies right after, and it looks like enemy top lane will drop.
That's actually huge. Wicked able to get the kill there onto Abandon, but Titan has immediately rotated to this early Infernal Drake.
So, you know, here we have a start for Peaked High School at the very least. You know, we were talking about that top lane being one of their best opportunities to get a win condition going into the mid game. Unfortunately, the kill did drop onto Jarvan, but that's not the end of the world. Jarvan is a jungler that, you know, he benefits. Not only does he benefit, he kind of needs these early kills, especially in a matchup against Zach. So that's not the end of the world, and it's good to see that they're getting something done on the map in response to that dragon.
And an interesting adaptation we have to note here from Abandon, getting that early kill teleporting down to the bottom lane and still electing to go for the Executioner's Calling. That's going to slow down the Riven just a little bit in terms of kind of that full item build, but that's Abandon respecting the passive from Overwolf on this Volibear and recognizing that he will have a lot more kill pressure if he can deny some of that sustain from the passive. So I like the adaptation here from Abandon, picking up an item for that lane matchup and looking to try and dominate in the 1v1 if you can.
Yeah, I really like not only that respect, but that consistency. You know, whenever you're against a very strong, sustained champion like Soraka, like Volibear, an Executioner's Calling as before your first item is completed can go a very, very long way. It feels like a waste in the moment because you're spending 800 gold on an item that you're not going to complete into anything anytime soon before you even get your first item. But in case any of you are in your games or playing against Sorakas and you're not getting that item, you should start.
Goodbye, Guitar Gunner. He's going to try and run, but he will not escape from Zachary. A third solo kill for the Nico, and at this point, the lack of respect from Guitar Gunner is going to continue to cost him. This Glacial Augment Nico is looking very good so far, and down to the bottom lane, Wicked trying to wait out the Black Shield. Gluttony's in trouble. The Flag and Drag will just land on a Stun Daddy, but the Soul Shackles will deny any further aggression. Damage coming out from the Ashe. Can they take him down?
Jarvan. Nico's coming from behind.
Gets the return kill, and here comes Zachary. Flash away from the Ashe, but it may not be enough. The Pot Blossom is not available, but there's still a lot of damage from Zachary here. The flash away from the Janna will keep Leonly Lion alive, but that's so much pressure in the bottom lane.
Yeah, truly unfortunate that Tiny Game was able to turn that gank around. Peaked really needed something to happen there. Not only did it need something to happen, but they needed to not give another objective.
Oh, they won't give an objective yet, but they will give a kill as Zachary takes down Peanut Butter. Another tower plate falls. They may even be able to get this tower. The ultimate from the TF. Maybe trying to...
Looks like he's looking topside, but he won't take it.
Uh-oh, here comes Abandon. Overwolf's in trouble, but here comes Wicked. The ultimate, the Cataclysm actually takes out the Zac, forcing him into the passive. He is going to be able to finish up the kill. But meanwhile, Abandon's just right next door, 1v1ing Overwolf, so it's a 1-for-1 so far. Can Wicked survive here? He's going to try and retreat to the tower. Flag and drag. Abandon trying to get away. He's so low. Can Wicked take him down? The dash away, the shield. Abandon is waiting for the cooldown. Wicked will get the kill onto the Riven, so the J4 actually able to survive and wins that fight 2-for-1.
Yeah, I mean, thank goodness he was able to clean up, but dang, if I was Zavala Bear there and I'm watching my jungler finish off that Zac passive while I'm sitting there fighting for my life, I would be pretty upset. However, looking back at that play, I don't think Jarvan misplayed there. I think it actually was high priority to finish the Zac off there. And on that same note, maybe Volibear shouldn't have stood there fighting to his death while Jarvan was stuck there dealing with the Zac passive.
Yeah. Probably should have been working with the Zac. Oh, beautiful. Onto the Nico. Can Zachary get away? He's trying to run. Pop Blossom activated. Will lock down the Janna for now. The only Lion. There's the yellow card he needed a moment ago, but Guitar Gunner not in range, and Zachary will survive, having to spend the flash.
So tragic, especially with Peanut Butter's sick arrow over from Fog from bot lane.
Meanwhile, the lane swap from Titan Gaming up to the top side is starting to put a lot of pressure. Here comes Train. Guitar Gunner's in trouble. Another kill for Zachary. Peanut Butter still here.
Riven is
good root from Zachary. Peanut Butter's in trouble, but let's bounce. We'll finish him off. Leonie Lion cannot escape. That's a double kill. And the Riven looking to pop off. Wicked is so low, but Abandon actually takes quite a few tower shots there. Stun Daddy needs the binding. It will just land inside the brush, but Abandon will not go for the kill. Overwolf will be able to escape, but the pressure onto the tower is huge from Titan looking for their second tower. They're already up 8,000 gold.
Wow.
We're at 13 minutes into this game. This is an insane lead right now.
It really is. You're absolutely right. This is looking rough for Peaked High School for sure. They definitely don't have a composition here that can reliably turtle and scale into the late game. They need to make something happen in mid game with their moves such as TF ult, such as Ashe ult, such as Jarvan Flash, such as the Volibear Flash. But Titan Gaming is not giving them a chance to regain their composure, shove their waves out, and make these moves happen.
Really seems like for Peaked High School, you've got about a 2 to 3 minute window to get this game back under control. Otherwise, you're going to be in big trouble. Gluttony is just going to delete Wicked there. Abandon going in on Overwolf. He's getting some sustain from the passive, but the Executioner's calling will pay off. Down goes the Volibear. Now they're looking for the tier 2.
Worth noting that Ashe arrow did go wide earlier. Janna is caught in a very interesting position. She should actually, she's going to walk right into the Zac actually.
Uh-oh, big trouble
if he's
here.
Move over.
Will he move over? Will just miss. Train actually letting Leonie Lion get away. Beautiful tornado there.
Oh, and the raids come in clutch to block the Zac Q. Janna barely gets away. And you know, that whole chase from Titan Gaming going after that Janna took a lot of pressure off of that top tower, gotta say. However, mid tower will fall in response. Yeah,
they rotate right to that tier 1 in a mid lane. It will easily go down to Titan here, their third tower. They're up 16 to 3 in kills, 3 towers to none. And now an 11,000 gold lead continues to grow for Titan. They're going to rotate down to this Ocean Drake. Should be an easy secure here for Titan, as Peaked is just trying to regain some wave control here, as the map is in shambles right now for Peaked.
Yeah.
They really have no solid foothold anywhere on the map. Guitar Gunner just able to avoid the snare there from the Nico, but Train wants to continue to go in here. Leonie Lion going to get caught. The less bounce is going. Leonie Lion with the ultimate to try and buy a little space, but it's not enough. Zachary gets the kill. Now the Pop Blossom going off. Flash away from the TF. Wicked flag and drags in the Cataclysm to follow, but it's still the double kill for Zachary. Just able to avoid the cards there. Guitar Gunner's in trouble. The triple for the Nico. The TP will not be soon enough. Overwolf gets in here, able to avoid the stun. Train has to get away here. I don't know if he has the passive available. He will escape, but the Nico continues to pop off for Titan.
Yeah, you know, that TP was just a little bit too late. If Volibear was able to TP into that play as soon as it started, maybe they would been able to get one, if not both of those kills, especially with Volibear Flash. Unfortunately, he TPs in once his teammates have already passed, and we are still seeing Peaked High School struggle to make something happen. That is one strong Nico, gotta say.
I mean, that's already a 2-item Nico.
Oh, Ash needs a binding.
Oh, big trouble here. The Soul Shackles and the stopwatch for Stun Daddy. They're locking down Overwolf, but he's going to get some solid damage here on a Stun Daddy who has to back away. But Gluttony just firing away, stepping right up to the Volibear. He does not care. Try to chase down Leone Lying, and the headshot will finish her off.
Yeah, it's starting to seem it's starting to look like at this point it's just a matter of time. I'm pretty sure Titan Gaming is very, very comfortably cruising in the driver's seat. I'm starting to see absolutely no comeback potential for Peaked High School. Their front line is just falling behind far too quickly. You know, you can still find opportunities to make big plays happen, but if your frontliners can't survive 3 autos, it's not going to matter if it's a 2v5, 3v5, 4v5. You are still going to suffer too far heavy of losses for it to actually be a satisfactory comeback play.
It would take a monumental throw from Titan Gaming right now for Peak to get back in this. So much control from Titan Gaming, putting down so much vision. And it just means that Peaked High School really has no room on the map to kind of get a foothold there. Good cancel on the Rift Herald, thanks to the Ash arrow. A little victory for Peaked, but
it's something.
Can they respond? They're all grouped up as 5 here in the mid lane. Teleport not available for Abandon, who heads down to the bot lane, so they have the numbers advantage here as they try to hold on to this tier 2 tower. And it's really a shame here as Wicked has honestly looked all right so far. 3-3 scoreline on the J4, has tried to look and make some proactive plays despite how rough things went in the first few minutes of this game, but it has not been
Nico
enough.
flashing in.
Pop Blossom will actually not land onto anybody there. Good job from Peaked to respect the Nico and get enough space here, but the binding is going to land onto the Ash. Big trouble here. The Piltover Peacemaker and Zacharai finishes the kill. Now Overwolf trying to zone away the big priority targets, but Train is still in the backline. He's got the passive to reset here, and Gluttony continues to fire away. There's the ace in the hole, the double, make it the triple for the Caitlyn, and TK Wicked too late to the fight. He's burning from the Ignite. Abandon is looking for more here. He's going to flag and drag over the wall, but Gluttony wants another one. Looks like he will be able to escape, but Titan Gaming will turn for the mid lane inhibitor tower.
Dang, this is absolutely the kind of game that if you are a jungle main in solo queue, you show your friends in match history and you say, dude,
bot lane difference.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Bot lane difference, top lane, solo lane difference everywhere. Yeah, this is really a rough scoreline coming out of Peaked High School. It's unfortunate for Jarvan. Was there more that he could have done this game? It's really hard to say. It's really hard to say. Maybe he could have opened up mid a little bit earlier, but his mid lane was getting solo killed by about 3 minutes in. Or was it 4 minutes? I think it was 4 minutes.
It was about 4 minutes, yeah. It was really that early 1-2 punch, right? It was just following that early gank to the bottom lane. Gluttony and Stun Daddy sacrificing that early CS to set up the cheese play. They get out, they get the kill onto the Ash, and then it quickly followed up. Guitar Gunner goes down to Zacharai, and it really seemed like Peaked High School never had a chance after that as Titan Gaming has continued to keep up the pressure. They take that middle inhibitor and then back to reset. Drake is up in 30 seconds, will be another Ocean Drake, and then Baron up in less than a minute. So Titan Gaming really looking to put the finishing touches on an impressive victory here over Peaked High School as we approach the 20-minute mark.
So naturally, when you're at this point as a team playing in, like let's say I'm Peaked High School right now in this match, I think this is about the point in time where I'm going to start talking about, all right, guys, what were the biggest problems this game? What are we going to try to adjust going into the draft for the next game? Let's leave this with you. What would you change if you were Peaked High School going to this next draft?
The first thing is just how they played the level 1.
Right.
You need to have the respect. You don't have the vision of the bottom lane, and you just got to respect that because I honestly think that shifts a lot of things in this game. Obviously, it didn't affect the mid lane, but it set them so far behind, and then it continued to just pile on in the bottom lane as Gluttony and Stun Daddy continued to build on top of that level 1 lead. So that's a big lane for me. And then I'd probably like a top laner with a little better effective teleport pressure, right?
Oh, you don't think Volibear is an effective teleporter?
No. No, I'd probably like something maybe like the Shen. I think that's a fine matchup into the Riven and brings a little more map pressure, and I think pairs very well up with the TF, right, if you're trying to pile down to the bottom lane.
Yeah.
So certainly an opportunity there. So yeah, something a little bit different in the top lane because, you know, we talked about it earlier. You're probably, unless you're going carry versus carry and really trying to go mono-y-mono with Abandon, you're probably not going to be able to beat the Riven too much without a ton of jungle pressure up to the top side. So just try and win through another part of the map, hold the lane as best you can, and see if your win condition is elsewhere. But things got so out of hand early that Gluttony has just had free reign on this Caitlyn.
Yeah, they absolutely have. If I was Peaked High School, I think one of the first things I'd be doing is I'm probably gonna want to ban this Morgana. Looks like she's landed some really nasty bindings this game, and I think almost all of them have resulted in a kill. And that's definitely a scary thing to play against. She's got the highest kill participation on Titan Gaming with 16. Definitely a very effective pick for them. Okay. Here we see
Pressure onto this bot lane.
Yeah.
Stun Daddy
Zach's coming over 2 walls.
doesn't even care, stepping up with the Black Shield, the only Lion in trouble, and Gluttony able to grab that kill onto the Janna, now backing away. Oh man, those headshots hurt so bad. The Dark Binding just misses, but Train still wants to go in. The Let's Bounce is off. There's the redemption to heal up a little bit. They're actually going to take Train down. Peanut Butter on the board, but they still will lose this tier 2 tower in bot lane.
Yeah, meanwhile at top, I think Volibear's getting pressured 1v2. Looks like Jarvan's going in for the engage.
Oh, Gluttony actually forced the flash with her, but he immediately turns around and takes down the J4.
Oh, he takes
but
2
he
tower
is
shots.
eating a couple tower shots, and Peanut Butter with another kill here. Huge shutdown onto the Caitlyn. Stun Daddy flashes over the wall, but here's the follow. That's the binding. There's still quite a bit of damage from the Morgana. The support able to 1v1 the 80 carry there, and Stun Daddy will escape.
But was it enough? On the other hand, Titan Gaming, both of their solos participating in the top lane, breaking open yet another inhibitor. This is not a team composition from Peaked High School that can effectively hold 2 inhibs down. Wow.
Targunner wants this. If the binding lands, though, he's in trouble. Stun Daddy trying to escape.
Oh, so close.
Meanwhile, Abandon just trying to zone away the Janna here. Stun Daddy buying so much time. He's got the double Ocean Drake. He can sustain up very quickly, paired up with the Morgana passive. Will get to safety and be able to back away as Sakurai secures the blue buff there. But the ultimate from Guitar Gunner does not pay off there, and that means that Stun Daddy will survive.
So here we see Peaked High School. Their backs are against the wall here. All they can really do is shove these inhibiting waves out. Their wave clear is not all too strong, but Ashe is getting closer to her Runans, and that is definitely a huge 2-item power spike for her. Zach still has no armor items, so I would say it's definitely a very, very uphill battle, but it's not unwinnable. Until that Zach finishes his first armor item, Ashe can absolutely make something happen, given enough time.
To see if this can work out, Guitar Gunner stepping up aggressively with the yellow card, feeling confident to try and trade back with the CC as Stun Daddy just continues to fire Dark Bindings in at will as the damage still comes out from Gluttony. There's a binding onto Wicked. They want this bot lane inhib tower. They've got super minions pressuring onto the Nexus towers coming from top lane. Peaked High School has to respond in some sort of way here as a lot of damage onto Overwolf. Stun Daddy will back away. Here comes Wicked. So much damage. The Pop Blossom lands onto a few. Gluttony's going to take down Guitar Gunner. Overwolf, the passive does not matter. Here comes the Riven as down goes the only Lion, and it's just 2 left to defend the base against 5-man strong for Titan Gaming. Peanut Butter and Wicked, all they have left, but the Ashe will fall, and Titan Gaming with a dominant performance here over Peaked. They're going to clean up the triple inhibitor, look for the Nexus Towers, and the J4 will not be enough. The redemption will mean nothing. The Nexus will fall, and Titan Gaming will move on in the losers bracket in the Western region.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better yourself. I couldn't have said it better myself. Dominant really ties it all together. Titan Gaming looked absolutely so strong that game. I don't think their bot lane had a single death. Maybe Caitlyn had one. But they were so oppressive. They had no deaths at all, such high kill participation, so many landed bindings. Really a phenomenal game, a phenomenal showing coming out from them.
Yeah, and it all started from that level 1. Not something we see a lot, right?
Yeah.
The bottom lane elected to forego a little bit of CS there.
A whole mini of CS.
And then catching really, it's the Ashe and Janna, the peaked bottom lane, kind of with their hand in the cookie jar. They're thinking, oh, they're not on the bottom lane. Let's just take all this free CS. Let's try and push this up and punish them for not being in lane. But instead, the punish comes from the Titan Gaming bottom lane, pairing up with Train there to get that early kill and get everything rolling. And Titan Gaming, never slowed down.
They did not. And I'm actually really happy to see moves like that be rewarded, Like, that was a very creative play.
Yeah.
Given we don't really see that kind of play happen so much at the higher levels, I mean, because, if you're an LCS level bot lane and the enemy bot lane doesn't show up by 2 minutes, you should see the game coming.
Yeah.
But the fact that they actually went for a play like that and that it worked, it was really exciting and really entertaining to watch. I'm super hyped to see how they approach their early games later on in the tournament.
Yeah, and I really think you don't see plays like that, right, a lot at the higher levels because it's all about kind of that min-max mentality, right?
Yes,
you're
exactly.
trying to maximize as much, and you're going to be hard-pressed to find a bottom lane that's willing to sacrifice an entire wave of CS for a chance at that kill because it's so risky.
It's
a lot
such
of
a gamble,
bot lanes
yeah.
will sniff it out, but the play works out, and Titans Gaming is able to push it through to a victory. A big win for them. They will move on in the losers bracket and face the loser of Alob versus Clown Fiesta. I believe we mentioned it earlier. Alob did actually make it in, so we could see Grizzly and Alob at the end of the day. So
How exciting.
sadly, Peaked High School's week is done. Appreciate them coming out and continuing to play. We'll have to see more from them possibly next week in the final week of the regular season. But Titan survives, one of those middling teams that's really looking to close the gap here, and they may have an opportunity if they can continue to keep this momentum going. They could look to try and challenge and chase down one of those top dogs.
Yeah, I would be really excited to see them do that. But what I'm more particularly excited for is to see the potential matchup between Alob and Titan Gaming at the end of the tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, it's possible. They're on opposite sides of the bracket in Group A. We kind of have a double group set up here. So Grizzly Gaming is in Group B, so they have the opportunity, if they run all the way through there, to face up against Alob. But definitely possibilities for some very good matchups. We saw great action between Alob and Clown Fiesta a week ago. And we are actually going to jump into that game now. They are already in progress, but we will drop in on the action right now as we can continue to keep an eye on the action here in the West. So give us just a moment here. We'll get into that game, and we are on to the Rift. So we are about 24 minutes in. Things close in the kill department, but
not in the gold department, yeah.
6,000 gold lead for Alob right now, and we can see a lot of that located on, that's a Yasuo, Vel'Koz, bottom lane. A Johnny Reborn trying to chase down, look that walrus. A lot of poke coming out in NorCal will take out the Braum. What are your thoughts on the Vel'Koz Yasuo bottom lane here?
All right, so, I mean...
Like, I can understand the thought process behind it, right? Vel'Koz does bring a knock-up to the table to set up, but it's a little more conditional compared to something like a Braum or a Gragas, right?
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised by it. You're right. Vel'Koz has a knock-up. Is it a consistent one? No. Is it an easy one to land? No. Is it long range? No. So it's definitely one of the more interesting Vel'Koz or Yasuo pairings. But if you think about it in terms of damage, it may be unmatched. That may be one of the most highest damage Yasuo lanes that I've seen at all. So I'm interested for sure. I wish I could have seen the laning phase a little bit more. But looking at Yasuo's 100 CS lead, I think we have a good idea of how that went.
Yeah, Alob able to get a kill there on that Yasuo. Pillow Talk going down, and the double kill for the Yasuo here. And we do have to note, while they didn't have maybe the greatest setup in the lane, they still have the Malphite up on the top side on Intman, so there still is plenty of setup for this Yasuo to pop off. And 7-2-3 scoreline. He's up over 3,000 gold over his lane opponent, Love You Jay, on the Caitlyn, very far behind, so things looking very good for Alob here as they're looking to take the Baron. Oh my gosh. If that Winter's Bite stole that, that would have been insane. Itman has to back away, taking a lot of damage from the Caitlyn, but the Braum ult stolen by a Johnny Reborn. Does he want to go in here? There's a possibility. There's the Abscond and Abduct. There's the knock-up. Can he take down my RC guy? He will not. The Corki turns it around and gets the kill onto jungler there. Johnny Reborn falling on the over-aggression.
Yeah, so that's the last thing you want to do as a jungler after you take a Baron is to go for kills.
I didn't want the buff anyway.
Yeah. Like, the number one thing you want to do when you get a Baron, guys, is you want to keep that Baron buff as long as you can and put it on minions. That's your number one. That's your number one priority.
You had one job.
Yeah.
Go to a minion wave with Baron buff. Alob does drop that one, but still, Baron buff on 4 of their members, and they can look to pressure the lanes now. Up now 8,000 gold at 26 minutes. They've got an Infernal Drake and a Mountain in their pockets. The Infernal matched by Clown Fiesta at this point, but a lot of map pressure here from Alob. Up 5-1 in towers, so they have a ton of map control. And they also have great pick potential, right? Like, you've got so much poke coming out from NorCal and Yurashi here, and you always have to be wary of Int-Man waiting in a brush along with Alob for that 1-2 punch with the Malphite Yasuo combo there. So Clown Fiesta has to be very scared every time they walk into Fog of War, because Alob will be looking to find any picks that they can.
Yeah, Fog of War is absolutely scary in this game. However, one thing worth pointing out, Alob is pretty much pincered into running a permanent 1-3-1 with this composition. You really don't want any of these solos to be together in a lane. And as they run 1-3-1, that gives plenty of opportunities for Clan Fiesta to look for numbers-based plays.
But the 1v2 in the bottom lane, my RC guy will fall to Alob there. A little bit of help from NorCal throwing the ultimate from the mid lane, and the Yasuo looking very good right now. He's looking to get on to the Hecarim. Snursy able to avoid the tornado there. Ults away from pressure and will just barely survive.
Yeah, when you're sending 3 people into a Yasuo lane and the Yasuo is chasing you guys into your own tower and forcing you to ult away, that's a pretty bad sign. That's definitely a pretty bad sign.
Things not looking good for Clown Fiesta right now. Bot lane inhibitor will fall. Ala pressuring top lane. And this may be all 3 inhibitors following in quick succession. Int-Man with the unstoppable force. That's 2 kills for the side of Alob as they're looking to possibly finish the game here. 28 minutes in, they've got Baron up. Minions just spilling into the base here as they turn their attention to the Nexus Towers. Last breath is nearly, it is available for the Yasuo, so they can look for the engage here. My RC guy gonna eat the laser, but it will not finish him off. The Vladimir trying to survive. Look, that Walrus will go down to a Johnny Reborn. My RC guy able to flash away, but does not survive. NorCal with the barrier, trying to live, goes gold. The double kill for Int-Man, and Alob will finish it off. A big win over Clown Fiesta to move on to face TFT Weebs.
What an explosive series, too. You know, we just jumped into that game, what, 5 minutes ago?
Just about, yeah.
And it was an absolute bloodbath from the moment we jumped in. Alob really looking very confident in their play, very assertive, very decisive, you know. They're looking like a very strong team.
Yeah. Definitely a big win for them, closing that out very quickly. It looks like they really didn't wait on that lead for too long. They get the Baron, finish with the buff still on them. So very clean finish there, just playing around really the strength that they had. It wasn't any sort of superior macro play. It was really just, we have a huge gold lead, and we're going to force it right down the throats of Clown Fiesta.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely a great job from them. We are going to throw to a short break, but stick with us, folks. We'll be back with more late night league action from the West in just a few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our humble abode here, coming to you from beautiful Santa Ana in Southern California.
Gorgeous.
Yeso and Latman here as we return to the Western region in Late Night League here in week number 6. Double points on the line. We saw some action from Alab just a moment ago, as well as Peaked High School and Titan Gaming. Yeah, we're going to head to Group B now into Champion Select for Grizzly Gaming versus We Hate Jordan. Grizzly Gaming took the title in week number 5. A big win for them to jump into first place in the West, just a couple of points above Alab, and now looking to make it 2 weeks in a row as they face off against We Hate Jordan. This is their first game of the week, so we'll see if Grizzly Gaming is nice and warm.
Gotta say, initial impressions on the draft, I think this is the first draft that looks pretty normal so far. You know,
I would say outside of the Echo.
yeah, kind of outside of the... Well, it's hard to say because in my own experience in competitive fives lately, I am coaching a team in Challenger. We just qualified for Scouting Grounds. Anyway, we get Echo banned against us pretty often. And the reason for that is not only do we have a really strong Echo player in mid lane, but a lot of champions in mid right now, champions like Syndra, champions like... okay, well, Syndra's the only one that comes to mind off the top of my head.
We're not going to give away all the secrets of y'all's draft.
Not all the secrets yet. But essentially, for all of you who are complaining that we're in a meta right now that's ran by Corki and Azir, Echo is a great champion to ban if you are a Syndra player looking to counter these champions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely a solid thought process there. So Grizzly Gaming going for an early Akali here. The first pick onto that assassin. What are your thoughts? Not only is that first picked, but blind picked here by Grizzly.
Well, Akali's definitely a strong character. But the problem is Silas is one of her, not only one of her strongest counters, but he's one of the strongest characters in this meta as a whole right now. And they let it go completely uncontested. So I'm a little worried about that Akali. I'm pretty sure the Silas can just follow her around throughout the early game.
We'll have to see how that works out. Obviously, a little bit of flexibility on the Akali can go top lane or mid, so you can see as draft shakes out if there's a possibility to swap that into a different lane to maybe avoid the Sylas matchup. So certainly an opportunity, and obviously Sylas, even more flexible, can go to either solo lane or still the jungle. Not as strong as a patch or two ago, but still certainly viable in the jungle position, as the Ezreal was also picked along with the Sylas for We Hate Jordan. And the immediate response from Grizzly Gaming, they grabbed their bottom lane, Sivir and Janna, who has continued to have a high priority this week for Late Night League. An interesting pick.
Yeah, you know, Sivir is just such a consistent AD carry right now, and Janna is a very solid support who, when you're given an AD carry who is able to control the lane on its own, something like a Sivir who's able to wave clear, Janna really just builds on that advantage exponentially. It's very, very hard to lay hands on a Sivir Janna. That being said, Nami is one of Janna's most natural counters, and Ezreal is a champion that can do well aggressively with a sustained advantage like the one he has here in the Nami-Janna matchup. So we'll see who's better. Is it the Sivir at pushing and avoiding trades, or is it the Ezreal at taking advantage of sustained matchups and, you know, pushing trades?
Yeah, there certainly is the possibility if the Janna, because typically you like to see Jannas if it's not a lane that you're too scared of dying in. You want to step forward, trade aggressively with the Zephyr. You bring a lot of damage to the table as a support as you max that Zephyr first. But there certainly is a possibility, as you talk about that counter in the Nami, to get that immediate response bubble, because the Zephyr range is not very long, so you can try and get that turnaround. But really, if I'm looking at this bottom lane, this seems like a pretty non-interactive bottom lane. Maybe some minor trading here and there, but it seems like as long as Among Ace can avoid any sort of bubbles, there really shouldn't be a ton of kill pressure in just the standard 2v2.
I think you're absolutely right. And on that note, I think if it does end up being a fairly non-interactive lane, I think the Sivir Janna definitely has the advantage there.
Yeah, you've got that scaling power. Obviously, the Ezreal's mid game can be very scary, and since the nerf to the double tier build that we used to see, he used to have a very, very scary late game. Still solid. You see a lot of Luden's Echoes picked up to kind of supplement some of that damage that he was bringing to the table with that old build, but it's not quite as scary as it used to be. But still, Ezreal solid in the later game, but definitely Sivir is, you know, you always talk about that 400, 500 CS threshold.
Yeah.
Hitting that full build, the Sivir can be very scary, ricocheting onto your entire backline. And one thing to note, one of the common counters you're seeing into Sivir these days is the Braum, right? You're throwing up the wall to try and block those ricochets and the boomerang blades from getting to the backline, but the early Nami means that Sivir really shouldn't have too difficult of a time to get those auto attacks back to the backline of We Hate Jordan here, so we'll see how that pans out, but not a ton of frontline here as the Lee Sin is locked in for the jungle. We're waiting for that final solo lane here. The Camille is hovered. That would be a very squishy but very damage-heavy composition for Grizzly.
Yeah, very scrappy, very mid-game oriented. I really like seeing it. Going to be a fun match to watch.
Yeah, should be a good time. We have to note the Sejuani was picked up by We Hate Jordan with their first pick in the second phase.
Oh,
and they're
what a
gonna
pick. If they go with Poppy here, that is an... Okay, so that Poppy pick hard counters Lee Sin, Camille, and it does a pretty good job of making the Kali's life a lot harder too. Wow.
So Grizzly Gaming picking us a composition that is really looking for 3 of their members to hard dive your backline, and then the Sivir Janna to just stay close and just try and fire kind of front to back here. But I agree, the Poppy, a great pick to try and counter that aggressive playstyle of Grizzly Gaming, make it much more difficult for them to get onto the Ezreal. So this should be a very interesting game to watch to just see how these compositions interact with each other.
Right, a couple things that I'm going to be looking to watch throughout the early game going into the mid game. One, this Akali Sylas matchup, we should expect the Sylas to have the advantage throughout the early and mid game and to chase the Akali around as she rotates from lane to lane trying to catch farm. But, you know, we'll see if the Akali is able to turn that dynamic around. Also, it's something else I want to see in the early, well, probably more so the mid game, is will Poppy be able to fully use the advantage that she just got for her team here of picking Poppy into these champions? In theory, Poppy should not, this is not just a counter either, guys. This is a hard counter on Camille and Lee Sin. Neither of these characters can really do anything in a team fight once they get their first jump canceled by Poppy, because not only is your gap closer gone, your escape's also gone. Now you're stuck by Poppy, who has a ton more HP than you. You're not going to be able to really kill her or anyone else around you because, again, you're stuck in her zone. And you are squishy champions that, in the Camille and the Lee Sin at least, that really need to get in and make their move happen nearly in an instant and either have neutralized the target so that they're not going to take return damage or to get out like right after making their move. None of that's going to happen against a Poppy, especially with the Sejuani, especially with the Sylas, especially with the Nami to chain the CC after Poppy lands the initial interruption. So that this should be game ending. A Poppy pick into Camille and Lee Sin here, I would be absolutely terrified if I was Grizzly Gaming, but we'll have to see if Cosmetic has the ability to really make the pick work.
Yeah, the one big thing for Grizzly Gaming is they're going to need to stagger that engage, right? You don't want the Lee Sin, Camille, and Akali all going in at the same time because it makes the Poppy's job so much easier with that steadfast presence to cancel that mobility, ground them, and then have the team try and collapse on those priority targets. But if you can bait out the steadfast presence with the Camille, maybe staggering her engage there, or just waiting until it's used and then trying to go in there is certainly a possibility there. But if Cosmetic can play around that cooldown very well, certainly is going to be difficult for Grizzly to get access to that backline and really play through the fight the way they want to, because it's going to be heavily around really the Camille and the Lee Sin getting onto Ezreal or Sylas, trying to get that kick back into the team, or the Hextech Ultimatum to single out that priority carry and try and knock them down, because they have the damage to do it. If you can lock down that target, there's no reason why Grizzly Gaming shouldn't be able to take them out. But some of the disengage, and we also have to mention, we didn't talk about it, the Nami. Right?
Yeah.
You've got the tidal wave. There's more disengage there to make it even more difficult for them to get to that backline. So there's opportunities here, but it is going to be very much around playing around those important cooldowns. The steadfast presence, the tidal wave, and even maybe the Arctic Assault and the Glacial Prison from the Sejuani to keep Ezreal and Sylas safe and then try and fight back. Because you're more than happy to fight front to back because there's no front line. Yeah. They're all squishy targets.
They're all squishy targets. Yeah, exactly. The thing is, typically when you have a champion like Sivir, you should feel comfortable with fighting front to back because Sivir's Ricochet does so well in a team fight where both team comps are going at each other from to back. But when you have all these sources that you just mentioned, like not only the Poppy, but you have to wait out Sejuani cooldowns, you have to wait out Nami cooldowns as well. And all of this is to get to an Ezreal. This isn't a character like Kog'Maw. This isn't a character like Jinx. It's going to be really hard to be able to get on that back line. And with all these things that you're trying to play around, I'm really worried for them. I'm really worried. Are they ever going to get onto this Ezreal?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to watch. Grizzly Gaming, we've seen, certainly has the talent in their players to do so. A lot of very, very skilled players, very high elo. I mean, I think their lowest ranked player is Plat 2. A lot of diamonds on that team, so they certainly have the experience and the high-end skill to try and execute on this type of composition, but certainly more of a narrow win condition and more difficult to execute on. So I like seeing We Hate Jordan here picking something a little more straightforward, a little more easier to execute on against a very tough team in Grizzly Gaming. I think that shows really a lot of respect from We Hate Jordan, recognizing that we need to make our jobs as easy as possible, make those win conditions as clear as we can. So I think setting themselves up for success, certainly in the draft. Obviously, you can get as great of a draft as you want, but if you still can't get onto the Rift and execute, you cannot win. So certainly have to still perform once we get onto the Rift here, and we are jumping in now. But things very interesting from the draft here as Grizzly Gaming and We Hate Jordan will face off. Looks like Grizzly taking a page out of Alob's book, looking for a little bit of this level 1 invade.
I do want to say that this invade that we're seeing right now from Grizzly Gaming has a much higher success rate, by the way.
It is one of my favorites. They don't have the best of level 1s, but they
get
could. Oh, no. Is that anti-Egro? Okay,
nice
that's the Sejuani not wanting to level Arctic Assault at level 1 there.
Yeah, which I think is somewhat of a misplay. I think you should keep your spell up there.
Yeah, I mean, as the Sejuani, you aren't punished as much for flashing away. If that's a laner, that's probably more significant. But the jungler spending flash at level 1 isn't as scary. That seems like just anti-Egro, either just not being able to respond quick enough to level the Q to get away, or just saying, I really want to prioritize my early clear here, make sure I don't get behind, because I think that is something you could be scared of into a Lee Sin. If you get too far behind, then that could have been really punishing taking the Q.
That's absolutely true, and I know you're right, because I mean, I think within the last couple of days, I had one of my jungler was playing Sejuani himself, and this exact same scenario happened where he chose to flash level 1, and he was like, well, the reason is if I don't take the on-hit passive spell that Sejuani has on my first clear, I'm just going to be really slow, and that sucks. Oh, he gets the red!
Oh,
oh no! That is absolutely tragic. That's a Lee Sin jungle too. That is not a jungler that can recover easily from losing his first buff like that.
So this is 2 games in a row, sort of. We had the dropping into that peaked game there in the middle, but this is a couple games in a row where we've seen very interesting level 1s from the bottom lane. Earlier we saw the Caitlyn Morgana waiting very long to pair for that early gank from the Zac, and this time around some more CS sacrificed by We Hate Jordan's bottom lane to steal away the red buff. And Bolty, gosh, you want to talk about the rough start from the Sejuani flashing away. Bolty seemingly with the only possibly worse outcome here, losing his red buff.
Oh yeah, that's a great opening from We Hate Jordan level 1. Again, I'm really happy and excited to see these non-conventional plays where they're seeming coming out of bot lane. All of these moves that they're making to take whatever small leads that they can get in their early game.
These late night league teams getting creative here to start these games. And I love that you mentioned about that invade that Grizzly Gaming tried to set up, because honestly, that's one of my favorite ones to use when I'm working with my team, especially if you can get something like a Braum or a Morgana. It's super risky to defend against that invade because your 2 options, you have 3 options, right? You can ward, try brush, and just back away. You can wait in the brush, which is super risky, or you can step out. And really, those last 2 are risky because either you don't see the invade or you do, and you're almost always forced to flash away if you step out of the brush. So it has a very high success rate, especially if you have a good level 1. So I love Grizzly Gaming trying to use that. Doesn't work out quite as well, but Tom's in trouble here. This is the melee solo laner paired up with Sejuani. That's exactly what they need, but Bolty's here. Asian Bjork taking a lot of damage, burning from the Ignite. Tom trying to get in. Good flash away from the Q. Now he's back in. He's got the shield. He's got first blood.
What a turnaround.
The response from Tom should grab a kill. QST will get it.
Has flash.
Cosmetic is here. Tom is low, but so is anti-Egro. There's the stun from the Sedge, but there's the double from QST. Can Tom escape? Cosmetic needs the slow from the Q. The gap is going to be opened up by the Akali. Cosmetic trying to get away. This is big trouble. Are you telling me this is going to be a triple from QST? He's burning from the red buff.
Oh, no.
Cosmetic survives.
Wow, what a turnaround though from Grizzly Gaming there. I really love the awareness that we saw from Camille coming out there. Everyone moved to that fight. it started looking off. It started out looking really sketchy for Grizzly Gaming. You know, Kali's running for her life, running towards River, away from her lane. That's not a position where you want any mid laner to be in. But thanks to the responsiveness and the decisiveness coming out from Grizzly Gaming, top and junglers' ability to keep an eye out for their mid laner, they were able to turn that around.
Great job there. Not only does QST get the double kill, gets double buffs as well. Able to back, grabs 2 long swords as well as that rejuve bead, and he gets the refillable potion as well. So QST going to be feeling great coming back to lane. Scuttle Crab taken there. I believe Anti-Egro got that, was able to get in and get the smite away.
It seems like it, yeah.
So Swag in the bottom lane, stealing away that red buff, but doesn't seem like he's done too much with it. CS even here in the bottom lane, and actually El Oso seemingly on the same page as we were after draft, thinking how non-interactive this bot lane may be.
When it grabs early Cole.
Yeah, gets the Cole, thinking, you know what, we're just going to take our time and farm up here. I'm going to take the extra income from this Cole, and gives him a little bit extra combat power. Not too shabby on the Sivir here, so El Oso going for the push here with Mung Ace. They'll push onto this tower, and they should be able to get, yep, they will get that first tower plate for themselves as well. So an interesting start to this game is we've seen aggression from both sides, but definitely working out for Grizzly as they're up by 400 gold, 2 kills to 1.
Yeah, one thing I do want to point out is what makes that whole top lane situation especially unfortunate is, again, like we mentioned before this game started, that top lane matchup is one of the biggest advantages We Hate Jordan have. Now the thing is, Poppy's not designed to straight up, roll over the Camille in the laning phase. What she's designed to do is she's able to survive against the Camille and totally, disable her later on in the game. But Camille coming out with a double kill here is the one thing you needed not to happen as We Hate Jordan. That is the one thing that'll make it hardest for Poppy to fulfill her role in the game. And there's 2 really big problems that come with that. One, Poppy's role is not only as a hard counter pick, but she's can single-handedly shut down the entire team from Grizzly Gaming. So that's the one role you really don't want to start falling out of this game. Number 2, Grizzly Gaming is taking 2 birds with 1 stone here by doing this. Not only are they neutralizing a top lane matchup, in any game, if your top laner is winning, you're pretty happy. You're going to win the split push throughout the mid game, and that's a really big boon to have. That gives you a lot of objective control. But again, like we said, this Poppy was one of the linchpins for We Hate Jordan's draft. Without this Poppy filling her role, We Hate Jordan has a very limited chance of protecting their backline.
They're looking to get something going here. Top lane, QST will drop the Hextech ultimatum. Oh no, I think he should have been going for the kill there on a Cosmetic. Cosmetic will survive. Anti-Egro looking to finish this off. The Bola will hit QST. Can he get away? Arctic Assault is needed. Flashing from Anti-Egro. That's big trouble. One more auto, but Anti-Egro will just walk into tower range and go down. QST gets the kill, gets out in the 1v2.
I'm speechless. I actually don't know what to say about that. That is so tragic.
I don't know about the flash there from Anti-Egro going in aggressively. Wasn't able to quite take QST down. I think, honestly, there you're happy to just force QST back to base and probably get out the teleport.
Yeah.
But instead, you give over another kill. You already highlighted how this Poppy cannot be behind in so many kills in this top lane because it just makes her job more difficult in trying to hold this lane for now. And 3 kills, a Tiamat already picked up by QST. Things are looking very scary as Grizzly Gaming's top laner is. He's definitely online.
Oh yeah, he is absolutely online. The only silver lining that We Hate Jordan have here is that QST used this TP forward lane despite not being in danger of losing a mini wave or anything. So that's a little bit of a missed opportunity there. If Camille was this far ahead with TP still up, returning to this lane on time for tempo, it becomes very hard to imagine Poppy getting any chance of equalizing this matchup. For now, though, there's a little bit of hope left. I do want to point out that earlier, that gank from Sejuani, Anti-Egro's timing on roaming up to that Camille lane, that was good.
Yeah.
That was good timing. That was the right move that you needed to make there in terms of macro for your team on what they needed to do next in the early game. So it's really, really unfortunate that it turned out in Sejuani dying to the Camille there. Like, not only was it the right play going wrong, but on the flip side, that was, again, that's the one thing you really don't want happening here is the Camille getting ahead against this Poppy.
Cosmetic just trying to hold on here. QSC will take the first tower plate top side. Cosmetic holding on in the CS department, but All those kills going over to the Camille. I mean, a huge gold gap between the two top laners here. It's an 1,100 gold lead for QST over Cosmetic right now, so very scary up in the top lane. Cosmetic just trying to hold on as best he can. Eloso and Mung Ace continuing to keep up the pressure in the bottom lane. Anti-Egral has not gone down to try and get the Siverjana off of this tower yet. They have been just pushing with a reckless abandon here so far, and it's showing as Swag and Peanut continue to just have to farm under tower. But hey, the Ezreal holding on, still even in CS, has that tier stacking, grabbed a Cole for himself a little later than El Oso, but kind of recognizing that they would be farming heavily here early.
Wow, you can
Bubble
really
will
see
miss.
how pressured they are to fight.
Oh, is Peanut going to eat a couple ricochets here? Oh,
So close.
the minion wave nearly setting up El Oso for the kill there.
That was a good call, by the way, the ricochets. Wow.
I saw him walking away, and I'm like, I can't see where the end of that minion wave is, but that's very scary because Peanut was sitting at maybe 50 health.
Yeah, very, very low. You could see at the very end there, he did actually get hit by those ricochets. It did bring him down to, I think that was definitely under 30.
Very, very scary moment there. Peanut holding his breath, I would assume, but able to escape with his life. 2,000 gold lead here for Grizzly Gaming, but We Hate Jordan is on the board. We have to say Asian Bjerg was able to get a kill there onto Bolty earlier, so
2v2 in the top lane. Oh, that is a dead Sejuani.
oh no, window shopping. Anti-Egral will go down as Bolty gets up to the top side, and Grizzly continues to build on this lead. El Oso still here pressuring this tower. We are at 11 minutes, and El Oso has been on this tower so much. They've already taken 4 tower plates. Asian Bjerg looking to solo in the mid lane, but Tom getting so much damage out. This is very scary for the Sylas. Asian Bjerg cannot get away. He's going to go down to the Ignite, and whoa, Tom just stays alive.
What a solo kill. That is very uncharacteristic of the matchup. I do want to start there. Typically, you do expect the Sylas to have control over the Akali at this point in the game, but you know, Tom's showing great knowledge of the matchup and able to somehow outplay. Oh, 22 CS lead in the mid lane as well.
And we also have to note here, El Oso significantly ahead in that Cole completion, already now less than 20 CS away from getting that extra gold, already sitting on the BF sword as well, so that should almost be that first BF item finish for El Oso as soon as he completes that Cole with the CS he's sitting at right now. About to eclipse 100. Gonna go back to base here, so we'll have to come back to lane one more time before finishing that off, but yeah, that's gonna be the Essence Reaver start. Asian Bjerg taking a lot of damage here. He's in a lot of trouble. Here comes the teleport from Cosmetic. Is it going to be enough? The Sejuani's here flash away. Wow. Is it going to be enough? No, Cosmetic will get the kill onto Bolty. A couple tower shots onto the Poppy there, but We Hate Jordan gets another kill on the board.
Very impressive teleport there. I'm very genuinely impressed by that teleport. It was fast. Like, not only was that a very decisive, very correct teleport, saving your mid laner there, but it was fast. It started as soon as the fight as the fight came in.
Big trouble for the We Hate Jordan bottom lane, but good tidal wave will be able to disengage. Some poke coming out from Swag. He wants more.
Potentially turning.
Low health bars for the Grizzly Gaming bottom lane, but they will be able to escape.
Worth mentioning, Grizzly Gaming does have heals still.
Exhaust onto El Oso. Bubble will land onto the Janna. Mung Ace is going to take a lot of damage here, but the shield burning from the Ignite. Swag's going to go down. El Oso grabs the kill there. And the Sivir continuing to power up here. Now that's the first kill. Already has the Berserker's Greaves. Should be able to stay in lane. Should not only finish a tower, which will be first tower on El Oso, which they could even give over solo guild here, but also will finish up the Cole.
I think his goal is actually on 8 more minions, so even if he did stay for the next minion wave, he will barely not finish it. He will barely
He's
not
gonna
finish
back.
it. Yeah, and I think at this point, with 8 stacks on your Cole left, I would actually sell that for pink wards, but that's just me.
He's going to take the gold. Able to finish the Essence Reaver. So that's first item for El Oso. And Bolty into the mid lane looking for Asian Bjerg. Going to try and go in. The kick will finish it off. Or no, actually just kicks Anti-Egral in. Rift Herald will charge into the tower. It's gone. Anti-Egral, you better run. It's big trouble here. The Sejuani can. He escaped. The tornado will not land. And the Sejuani just barely survives.
Barely surviving. Rift Herald is still active though, and looks like they're going to use the pressure from that Rift Herald to transition their control into the bot side jungle. Looks like they're posturing for this upcoming dragon.
That would be an Ocean Drake for Grizzly. They've already got the mountain here. Cosmetic still trying to hold on top side down. Just 16 CS. All things considered, against a 4-0 Camille, I think that could have been a lot worse, honestly.
Oh, it absolutely should be a lot worse. Cosmetic is really showing some great finesse in this matchup. He definitely knows how to play Poppy. I think you can totally see that not only by his actual picking of it, because again it was such a phenomenal pick here, but in terms of how fast that TP was earlier, I really do think we were seeing him on one of his more comfortable characters.
Trying to hold on to this top lane as best he can, looking for the early Sunfire cape. Give him a little more survivability and you know, a little more dueling into QST. Double melees there matched up in the top side means that he'll almost always be in range to get that Sunfire damage going. Not insane, but does help at least a little bit here.
One thing I do want to point out right now is I believe Sivir is misplaying by pathing bottom. It looks like they're correcting it now. Sivir is rotating mid and sending the Akali to bottom. I think this is what should have happened about a minute and a half ago when bot lane first initially broke. Especially as a character like Sivir, who's able to one-shot mini waves and really put pressure on these outer towers. The last thing you want to do is rotate her into a dead lane with no outer tower.
Swag holding on in the CS department, essentially even with the Sivir, which is pretty good all things considered. Able to finish his first item. Hasn't been able to grab the Sheen yet. So that means that this has been an Ezreal holding his own, lacking a lot of that significant early game combat power that he gets from the Sheen, as Tom is going to get collapsed on here. Going to throw down the Shroud. Can he get away? Jumps over the wall. Can he escape? Ooh, Glacial Prison will miss, and Tom will be able to jump over the wall and escape from the pressure there as Cosmetic loses his tier 1 tower, just trying to hold on against QST here. Good stun into the wall, gets a little bit of return damage, and we're seeing that Sunfire
he wins
cape
these.
doing work. Also able to grab the early boots here, denying a lot of damage from QST, so the Poppy actually feeling great in this 1v1.
Yeah, definitely really surprising to see the Poppy able to dominate trades so strongly, even with behind an item. Asianberg going in.
Not able to get the abscond and abduct there. Peanut into the mid lane to try and hold this tier 2 with Asian Bjerg. Anti-Egro in between, ulting, trying to go for the Janna insect. Ooh, good ultimate from the Ezreal, the True Shot Barrage, Bolty's low. Mung Ace will take Peanut, but it's a 1-for-1. Here comes Anti-Egro, burning from the Ignite. Mung Ace is so low. He just needs the Bola, but is taking so much damage from LO. So here comes Tom. Hextech ultimatum. Cosmetic trying to lock him down, but Anti-Egro will fall. Cosmetic gonna take some more damage here under the tower. QST going aggressive, the stopwatch means that the Poppy survives for now, but has to run away. That means the tier 2 will fall. And that's a 2-for-1 in favor of Grizzly. And on top of that, the tower, and they're going to look to rotate topside with the Sivir. El Oso should be able to take down this tower fairly quickly.
They should be able to. I really liked the assertiveness from Asian Bjerg. You know, that was a really creative play. I don't think I've ever seen a Sylas steal Janna ult.
I used to do that with a Janna all the time. I used to joke with my friend. I'm like, watch me Insect right now. And he's like, you're not playing Lee Sin? I'm like, flash in, Janna ult back into the tower. It's terrible. It just makes me laugh. It's
pretty bad. It can be pretty bad. Now, the thing is, theoretically, if you have other people diving with you as the Janna, it could be a god tier play. Because now you're healing them and you did an Insect.
In a vacuum, it's a great play.
In a vacuum. But the thing is here, though, on a champion like Sylas, it's not that great of a play. You really need follow-up because the thing is, you're pushing them back into your teammates, right? Who you're expecting to do damage and finish these kills, but you are the damage. You are the mid laner. And knocking people into your Sejuani and Nami under tower, probably not the move if you're trying to land any secure kills. If that play happened like 3 seconds later, maybe when the Sejuani was actually in range, that could have been great.
I think the better play probably would have been, and I can't confirm whether he was available to take it because obviously there's the cooldown once you steal a champion's ult. But I actually would have liked him taking El Osos on the hunt And then you just speed up the entire team. Then the Sejuani has a lot easier job getting onto the backline, and you're probably able to get in and get that play with the rest of your team,
Yeah,
right? Then
yeah.
you have everybody with you, and maybe it's a lot more successful. So maybe look for the on the hunt next time when you want to play aggressive. Then you don't even have to spend your flash necessarily. But, you know, a play to learn from there for Asian Bjerg. Still looking to be a big playmaker for his team. Has the proto belt and working on his second item now on that 2-3-1 scoreline. Big CS differential in the mid lane. Peanut's in trouble. Anti-Egro is here to collapse, but so is the rest of Grizzly. Peanut's going to go down. Polty gets the kill. There's the kick into the tornado. The Sejuani just getting put into the bounce house here. True shot barrage from
good team
Swag.
fighting from Ezreal
Good
here.
damage coming back. QSC going to get sustained a little bit. Among Ace taking a lot of poke here. Cosmetic trying to zone them away.
So much damage
El
from
Oso looking
Sivir.
to fire away. Anti-Egro will go down to El Oso, but here comes Asian Bjerg. Cosmetic flashes away. Gets the stun on a QST, but the kill still goes through as the Poppy is down. Asian Bjerg wants to get on the QSC, but still alive. Mung Ace, the MVP of this fight. Asian Bjerg goes down. Bolty grabs the kill. That's a 4-for-0 for Grizzly.
Wow. And if I was We Hate Jordan there, playing that team fight, watching player after player escape with slivers of HP, getting shielded by Lee Sin shield, Janna shield, Camille shield. What a tragic team fight indeed.
I mean, honestly, I think as the ace comes through for Grizzly, I mean, I think you just need a slight name change. It's not We Hate Jordan anymore. It's just We Hate Janna.
We hate Janna. We hate shields.
Because, I mean, so many targets there were so close to going down, but really Mung Ace the difference. They're able to keep his team topped up just enough to survive in that fight. They get the ace. They bust open the mid lane, able to take down that tower. Now they'll turn back towards the Drake here.
Yeah, so something worth pointing out there is the reason that play was able to happen. So notice that maybe 2 minutes and 30 seconds ago, we were watching the Poppy actually hold her own against Camille, you know, push her back 1v1. Well, between then and now, Camille went and finished Triforce, and she went and bought, like, I don't think she had that BF sword, but she had the Triforce.
Yeah.
And that's really all you need is that first item activation. Camille made very good usage of that first item activation power spike, by the way. She shoved the first wave into Poppy and then immediately went over the wall and started looking for picks. And that's what actually ended up into the game breaking open like what we just saw. So very effective usage of your first item power spike coming out from the Camille.
Yeah, and that wasn't a clean, you know, 5v5 setup fight, right? It all started with the pick on Peanut. They're able to take down the Nami very quickly, and then it just continued to be very scrappy in the corridors of that northern jungle there, but Grizzly Gaming continued to win out and take priority targets down, and they end up winning out, grabbing that ace. They follow up with that second Ocean Drake, and now with an 11,000 gold lead, they're looking to get vision around this Baron. We Hate Jordan wants to respond here. We have all 10 players in this game, all near this Baron, as El Oso looks to collapse. So we're going to get some action here very soon. Grizzly's going to start the Baron. It is spotted out by We Hate Jordan, so they know this is happening. Where's the response? They're actually caught between Tom and the rest of Grizzly. Tom just trying to be as annoying as he can on this Akali. Grizzly Gaming.
Force off the Baron. Oh, they're still going for it, actually.
They want to fight. They haven't completely dropped aggro. Here comes Asian Bjerg getting in the team, but he's all by himself. El Oso gets the kill. The response is not there from We Hate Jordan. And here comes Baron. Grizzly. There's the Hextech ultimatum. Cosmetic with a beautiful ultimate, but it's still the double kill for El Oso. Here comes QST back over the wall. Flash away from Peanut. Can they escape? Anti-Egro trying to retreat, but QST is looking to chase them down. He's going to get onto Peanut. The exhaust does not matter, and QST grabs another kill. Cosmetic just trying to escape, but caught between a rock and a hard place. Anti-Egro here as well. Cosmetic's going to go down to Bolty. Tom may go for the dive. It would be risky, but meanwhile, the Nexus towers are falling. Grizzly Gaming with a commanding win here as We Hate Jordan will fall, and Grizzly Gaming will move on in the West.
We Hate Jordan definitely name changing to We Hate Janna after that game. Those shields were absolutely... Those shields were crushing dreams.
Yeah.
Absolutely crushing dreams. One thing I do want to point out, you know, at the end of the game there, when we saw We Hate Jordan rush the Baron, they forgot one very crucial step. Whenever Baron is on the table, you have to push mid.
Yeah.
You have to push mid. Getting Barons, the game wasn't ending immediately. It would end about 1 minute and 30 seconds after, and that's because even though they were given these Barons, they at least had the presence of mind to push mid first and then contest the Baron. if you fail to do this, if you go to contest the Baron and your whole team dies, now not only are you all dead, but there's a minion wave right in front of your Nexus, and they all have a Baron buff, and you will see the game just end immediately, like we just saw there.
Yeah, that was so fast. Such a prompt response there from Grizzly, getting exactly the really just 2 big fights, right?
Yeah.
It's the big one that started with those kind of consecutive picks in the jungle, and then they get another fight at the Baron, and it all turns into a snap victory for them. So quick responses, dominant game really. Up, they finish up 19-3, I think, in kills there.
Yeah.
They heavily control neutral objectives. They got all 3 Drakes as well as the only Baron in the game. So just dominant all across the map, and really, it was interesting. You talked earlier about the non-interactive bot lane and how that really just benefits the Sivir Janna.
Yeah,
or
every
the
time.
Sivir, the Sivir Janna, right? Because they're just like, we're just free farm up, get strong, and we're more than happy to take our time. And the funny thing is it was interactive enough for them to actually build some solid early leads. The Sivir got online a lot earlier, and then they just continue to dominate it. So a big game through the bottom lane there for Grizzly, and they will move on.
Yeah, it was very well played on their part.
Yeah, great game from Grizzly, and we will see them later on in the night. We're going to head to a short break, but more late night league action coming your way when we return. All right, folks, welcome back. Grizzly Gaming versus AHS Black in the Western bracket. Yeso and Latman here for all of the action. And we have actually finished up Champion Select, so we get to do the easy part, just break down what we see here. And we can kind of skip past the ban phase, really, because we can see all the picks. Anything that stands out for you here in pick ban?
So again, as we're seeing these games, seeing more and more of these games, we're starting to see more and more things that are actually tried and true in the current meta. The Zyra Rakan on the Grizzly Gaming side, actually no, that's AHS Black side. The Zyra Rakan, a very strong dual lane, of course. Ezreal Yumi, another very consistent dual lane. I wouldn't necessarily compare them in strength with the Zyra Rakan. These are two different duos with very different purposes, and the Ezreal Yumi can absolutely accomplish their own purpose in this lane. They can totally survive, totally outpoke, push in. But the Zyra Rakan is not at its disadvantage or anything. Rakan is definitely a strong enough engage to get onto that Yumi. Other things worth pointing out, Karthus jungle, definitely something that's going to be of a very large impact in this game. The Ornn top lane is something I'm really interested about. So typically when you see the Renekton top picked up early in a draft, or whenever in a draft, Renekton's typically grabbed so you have an auto-win matchup in the top lane. You're basically forfeiting any chance of outscaling on that matchup just so you can really pummel down the top laner. Now, Ornn is a really weird top laner in the sense that he outscales a lot of tops. He's very tanky, but surprise is, he does a ton of damage if you are a champion that tries to extend trades. He does an absurd amount of damage. Like, it actually kind of makes almost no sense compared to how tanky and how that he eventually gets and how he can eventually scale. So it's really up to Renekton. We're really about to see if this Renekton has, very strong understanding of his limits and trades. Because I do think this is still a matchup where Renekton should be able to get the advantage. He should be able to carry a snowball into the mid game. But again, Ornn takes people off guard all the time, even in the professional level, all the time. Or people get caught off guard by Ornn's, ridiculous lane damage. So we see what happens there.
Yeah, we'll have to see how things shake out here. Definitely a very interesting draft. We get to see Tom on the Akali once more, which he looked very good on in the previous game, into a Vladimir, which should be fun to watch. Vladimir, not maybe the flashiest of champions, but really when you get to that team fight phase and he's dropping that ultimate, he obviously brings so much damage to the table and can really be a game changer, right? If you don't respect the Vladimir and you can't take care of him early in the fights, he has all of that innate sustain that really allows him to pop off. So you have to be careful and wary of him.
Yeah, I actually am of the belief that Vlad is one of the most effective divers in League of Legends right now. He's very hard to shut out in the game. He's very hard to dive, very hard to get kills on the laning phase. He's extremely hard to peel as well because he has pull, and he's totally able to not only one-shot one of your carries, but all of them at the same time if you give him the chance to. It's definitely a very strong pick here, and I'm curious to see which mid laner is more effective here, the Vlad or the Akali.
Yeah, he's very slippery, as you mentioned, very hard to lock down, and if you can't really burst him out early and force him instead to be, right? Because if the Vlad is having his way, he's pooling aggressively. He's getting out his first rotation and then pooling aggressively to get access to the backline. If you're playing it right, he's pooling to buy space and get away, but it's definitely very hard. He brings all of that sustain and damage, so it's definitely going to be a champion we're going to have to keep an eye on there and could be, a game changer for AHS Black. We'll have to see how things shake out. We've got Bolty on a little bit of a different champion here on the Trundle this time around. A little less proactivity than the Lee Sin, right?
Oh, a lot less,
You don't bring that hard CC as much, but you do bring some zone control. You can drop the pillar and add on some of that attack speed, and then obviously you have the ability to take those tank stats away. So there certainly is some, I don't know if it's playmaking ability really on a Trundle, but he can have a big effect in this game, and we'll have to see if Bolty can perform again because I think he was really, really good for Grizzly in the last game on the Lee Sin. He had he was very key in that fight, despite dying early. That big kind of 3v3 that we got progressively from the topside river back that got QST that early.
You could argue he carried that fight from just how fast he was able to get there. I think he might have even left his Grump camp to get there on time.
Yeah.
I don't actually remember where he was at the moment, but he got there really quickly. I would say he definitely carried that moment. And as you said, it played a really big impact on how that game ended up mapping out.
Yeah, respect to Bolty. Big part of his team and a big part of that win they got last game. QST as well. Okay, so instead of getting the 5-man invade to this top tri-brush, they'll just go 3. Fengji will spot it out. A little bit of a late response, but just a little poke damage, not bringing a lot of CC there. So he can just back away to his top tower. So not really the most effective invades here from Grizzly.
One thing I do want to point out here for some of our more inexperienced viewers. So just now we saw Fane Z, his positioning in the Tribush, by the way, was much better than the last top laner that we saw get invaded on there. The last top laner that we saw, it's hard to explain now. If we could get the camera to go a little bit lower into the Tribush, that's fine anyway. So essentially, in that Tribush, you want to be watching from either the center of the Tribush or the leg of it that comes out into watching the river.
Yep.
The first top laner that we watched, he was sitting in the leg of the Tribush that extends into his own wall. And what that does is not only are you're sitting in the part of the Tri that's closest to the entrance, but that's also the part of Tri that's whose vision is most cut by your own wall.
Yep.
So you want to be sitting on the opposite side of Tri so that you're maximizing the amount of vision that you have coming out into the river.
Things work out for Fengji at the level 1 there, and he'll be able to go back to his tower without spending any summoner spells or even a... Okay, wait. Okay, so let me ask you this, because I'm not a top laner, and I know you're not either, but not buying an early item. Obviously, Ornn can go to lane and purchase on his own. Is this just a strategy to wait to get a little bit of a gold and buy maybe an early ruby crystal?
So I think Ruby Crystal is the only item that comes to mind here. Doran's shield.
Okay, so he buys a Doran shield.
No,
so
yeah,
he's just looking.
sense,
so he's just looking for the greedy. He wants 2 pots for the
Yeah.
extra sustain in lane because you cannot. I know you cannot buy pots or wards from lane as an Ornn. So that's him just trying to get the greedy double pot start here for a little more sustain into the lane bully.
This gank timing is totally weird, by the way. I would have never expected that from HS Black. A Trundle not only level 2 ganking you, but at 230, 235, 240, that shows that he's a little bit slow there, a little bit late. Trundle invading bot side jungle during this trade in the bot lane. Looks like he was repelled by the Karthus. Did Karthus get his own blue? Drifted still getting zoned by Eloso. Karthus and Akali are now both invading the Karthus at his blue buff. Karthus is really struggling up there.
Oh, and he doesn't get the blue buff. It's stolen away by Bolty.
Wow.
XU will be able to escape with his life, but that hurts the Karthus so much. You are so dependent on that blue buff, especially early because you spend so much mana consistently using your Q to get out the majority of your damage. So that's extremely punishing. I mean, we looked back to last game with Bolty losing his red buff at level 1. I would say this is even more punishing here for the Karthus.
Oh, I absolutely think it is even more punishing, yeah. And one thing I do want to point out is, Drifty going for the trade here.
Yeah, also getting caught by almost every grand entrance here from Drifted. He's playing aggressively with that W and landing it very consistently. Also able to arcane shift away as the feathers come out from Venti.
Yeah, but one thing I wanted to point out is, so like I mentioned earlier, that bot lane timing gank from the Bolty was really weird. I would have never expected that as a bot laner. However, we're starting to see now the effects of that timing, what the plan really was. He knew that Karthus started topside, and he knew that if he rotates to his own topside while Karthus is pathing bottom, he'll have no opportunity to really take advantage of this Karthus jungle. You know, you always want to try to at least get in there and interrupt at least one of Karthus's opening camps, because his first clear is, it actually is very effective, very efficient if you don't interrupt it. So I'm actually starting to think that initial pathing from Bolty was very next level. It was actually really good. Yeah. Not only did he get the gank timing on a bot lane that you actually should never expect to get ganked against an Ezreal Yuumi this early, but he was also able to get the blue buff from Karthus. Very, very effective opening path here.
Yeah, putting a lot of pressure just on that entire bottom side of the map, jungle as well as the bottom lane there. And, you know, I think kind of putting himself in the back of Drifted and Venti's mind. They've got to think about that. Trundle trying to come back down to their lane. QSD, meanwhile, in the top lane. So the economy is looking great for Fengji right now. He was able to buy the Doran shield. He's also got the Sapphire Crystal and some boots here. And he's still holding on to one of his pots as well as the biscuit here. So the Ornn is feeling great right now, even in CS, and QSD has actually lost quite a significant portion of his health. So the Ornn looking solid early into the Renekton. Yeah,
this was something I was really worried about during the first few moments of that pick ban as we loaded into the game. Again, Renekton's a character that you need to, you can't be even on. You cannot be even on a Renekton against a tanking champion like Ornn. You need to start getting ahead at some point. Of course, we shouldn't expect that to start until he gets his Tiamat. That's really the point where Renekton might be able to start having agency in the trades. But seeing the lane matchup starting to become this one-sided this early on is a little concerning to me.
just 300 gold separating these teams. Nobody has been able to grab first blood yet, so that's just entirely in the farm department so far. Interestingly enough, Bolty stealing away the blue buff there, but still actually significantly down in CS right now as Tom is under pressure in mid lane, forced to flash away from XU. The flash in from Genosins, and he's going to grab first blood on the Vladimir.
Wow, and a Karthus gank, no less.
Right? Karthus left his jungle at all, like before a team fight. That's crazy. But able to get in and put enough pressure, not only to force out the flash from Tom there, but even is able to get up enough damage to put him in kill range for Genosins to flash in and take that kill. So Genosins, great start here on the Vladimir, and XU making up a little bit, right? He loses a lot of pressure when Bolty's able to get in and invade, take away his blue buff, but he says, all right, you can have my blue buff. I'm going to have your mid laner right now as I get into that lane early. Yeah,
definitely not a trade that you expect to see at any point. I think usually when Karthus loses his first blue buff, you almost never expect him to gank any lane. So if I was Tom there, I would have been blown the heck away. I would have been like, what is this guy doing here? Really good decision by the Karthus to go for that gank. One thing I do want to point out is Renekton went for a BF sword. I guess that's going into
early Shojin?
Yeah, an early Shojin, which is not good. I do not think that's good at all. Early Shojin is not an item that you need to rush on any character that it's good on. It's much better as a second or third item. Fenji getting out traded here, has to flash away.
Yeah, that's flash for flash. There's QST goes in aggressive, but here comes
great.
XU. Fenji just going to slow him down. There's the chilling smite. Oh, no. The misplay there from Fenji, disrespecting QST, who is still working with his ultimate as well. And you got to remember, QST, he just has to wait for those cooldowns, and he was able to buy enough time there to get the kill. And even XU has to flash away on the Karthus. So that's both flashes for jungle and top lane there for AHS Black. Things not going well in the top lane as the 1v2 goes in QST's favor. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Arcane shift away from El Oso. Able to avoid the grand entrance, has drifted. Wants to go aggressive, and right now there's been a couple of solid early trades, but the HS Black bottom lane has not been able to make anything stick. Obviously, not easy to do into an Ezreal Yuumi lane, but definitely the Ezreal holding his own so far. That's going to be a finished support item there.
Oh, they're getting on his blue buff again.
Oh no, XU, you're in so much trouble. He's going to get trapped in by the pillar and taken down. Can he still get the blue buff? Don't tell me he got the blue buff still. No.
Dead.
Okay, it took Tom. Tom took it. The ultimate. The flash over from Venti. This actually may be a huge play, though. There's the final chapter from
Yumi's making huge things happen right now. Yumi saves another target. Akali barely gets away. Trundle also barely got away from
Tom
the Yumi heal.
Is solo. He's actually going to fall, though. Venti wants to chase down. Genosins is here as well. It's the 3v2. Can they get in here? El Oso's low. A lot of damage to come from Genosins, but he's able to arcane shift away. Bolty trying to escape. El Oso solo.
Ezreal barely flashes away.
Bolty is going to escape as well, but that's so many summoner spells used. That's both from Mung Ace in that fight. The flash from El Oso as well as Bolty's flash there, but traded for quite a few on the other side as well. 3 from the bottom lane. So,
you know, as the dust settles there, it's really it's a tough call, but I actually think AHS Black might have come out ahead there. 2 kills on Vladimir, that's awesome. That's great. That's the person you want on this team composition besides Karthus to be getting these kills.
Fengji's got to be careful here, but XU has gotten up to the top lane. This may be the timing for the gank they needed. Fengji, you better run away. Don't do it again.
Not again.
QST's low.
One more auto.
XU, please. Ward, drop a ward. Okay, good pink ward. Fengji able to get the kill, and he will survive this time around as they're finally able to take down the Renekton.
You know, you wouldn't expect it with these kinds of characters executing ganks, but these are some of the most exciting ganks I've watched in a really long time.
In with the Karthus auto attacks, trying to finish off the Renekton.
Yeah, and with Fenji, you know, really dancing outside of his max range with the Renekton with 10 HP again, you know, making you wonder, is he going to go in again or not? But yeah, really great ganks from the Karthus here. Don't think I would have ever expected to say that, but he's really landing them. He's got 100% kill participation so far. That's the last thing I would have expected at 10 minutes into the game.
And to be clear, 2 of those are 2 ganks, right?
Yeah.
He gets 1 of those assists from the ultimate that he used in that invade on his blue just a moment ago, but 2 of those are from ganks to mid and top lane. So actually putting quite a bit of map pressure on the map, not even using his ultimate so far. So interesting Karthus play early in this game.
Yeah, definitely a really good sign for HS Black. Using the TP here to dissuade the Herald buff, looks like.
Yeah. Rift Herald chasing XU all the way to the top of his red buff
Okay,
there.
I've never
Really
seen
wanted
that
to get
before.
after the Karthus.
Yeah. So here we see Ezreal Yuumi pressuring the bot tower.
Yeah, looks like they want some of the pressure now with those Mystic shots coming out from El Oso. They're starting to hurt here as he has his Sheen nearly finished up on his Cole. 2 games in a row electing to go for that Cole buy, stacking up his tier as well. So El Oso's gotta be feeling really great about where he is right now. Tom trying to get away. Uh-oh, Genosin's into the pool. We're gonna swap between bot lane and top. Tom able to escape, so we didn't miss anything there. Genosins will just have to walk away from Bolty.
Yeah, it looks like, so one thing worth noting, the Ezreal Yuumi has not actually broken a tower play and stack at bot lane yet, right? And I think we've gotten to the point in the lane where things should start to get only easier here for the Rakan Xayah. Yes, they still do get slightly out-sustained, especially if Rakan is unable to land any Qs. But their wave clear is undeniably stronger here. They don't need to fight at all anymore. All Xayah has to do is keep shoving waves into the Ezreal. And one of the reasons you pick this Ezreal Yuumi lane is you typically pick it so that you can break the laning phase early. And if you're not looking to break the laning phase, you want to at least come out, you know, even. Here we see them turning the engage.
Yeah, that's going to be the final chapter from the Yuumi. It locks down Venti. They're actually getting a lot of damage here as the exhaust comes out. Venti going to be able to get away, but here's the True Shot Barrage. Featherstorm from Venti.
No summoners on the Xayah. She should be dead.
This is very scary. Nearly trapped against the wall, but it is enough. Bolty going to get the kill as he munches down on Venti there. Now Tom going to take some damage from Genosint. Able to open up enough space there to escape from the Vladimir, but good timing there from Bolty once more. Seems like he's timing these bot lane ganks very, very well so far in this game. Gets down just in time to lock Venti down and set up that kill for the bottom lane there.
Yeah, and the thing is, not only... Oh, he's going really ham for this Karthus.
XU wants to go in here. Genosins will have... Yeah, he'll have to back away as El Oso and Mung Ace come up to support their jungler there. Keep Bolty safe, and Bolty... we have to say, good early game so far, working on his jungle item, 2-0-1, and the only problem is he's definitely not keeping pace in the CS department, which you would typically say is difficult into the Karthus, but you got his first blue.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
shouldn't be this far, especially considering you got his first blue and he ganked 2 lanes as well. Meanwhile, QST in trouble here, trying to get in onto XU. XU surviving. Can he escape?
He will get out.
He's going to get away. He doesn't have the ultimate available, so QST is going to stay, but he's still going to eat some damage here. Tom trying to get away from Genosins. Genosins will get a little bit more sustained from his Q, but Tom will escape, so actually no kills there.
No kills there, but Grizzly Gaming will trade
He's going to TP.
Will
Is
he
there
get
enough
out?
damage?
Oh,
Genosins, he gets it! The kill goes through. Genosins takes down Tom, and that is in the TP going down as well. That's rough. Tom so close to getting away there. I think that was the right choice, trying to TP away out of vision, but it doesn't work out. Meanwhile, Cloud Drake taken by Bolty, the Call of the Forge God. Not able to lock down the jungler there, and HS Black has to back away. That's 2 early Drakes for Grizzly.
So a couple of things I want to point out here. Again, both of these are basically praising Bolty. For one, you mentioned earlier that his gank timings at bottom have been really good. I want to point out that every time he's visited bottom this game, blue was spawning in the next 30 seconds.
Yep.
That is incredible presence of mind for a jungler outside of the competitive level. So that's really good pathing from Bolty. On another note, I also want to point out that the moment Tom started running away, or it was Tom. The moment Tom started fleeing into the top side jungle, Bolty immediately drops his mid-prio and goes straight to the dragon to trade those objectives. I think that was really good usage of your teammates' untimely death. Good presence of mind and good play so far from Bolty.
Yeah, and I think you also have to give a little bit of credit to the bottom lane, right? Because Oso and Mung Ace are freezing the lane on their side of the map to set up for the gank. Understanding that, okay, if we can get this wave in the right position, we can set up for the gank, and then we can get priority back in the lane to go and try and assist with our jungler. Forcing at the last chapter there, or the final chapter, excuse me, from Mung Ace, so no ultimate on the Yuumi.
This is a very competitive balling that we're seeing today so far. These two duos have been just going at it back and forth.
Yeah, both of them are really trying to get some action going. It's only really stuck when the junglers have shown up in the lane, but still they have not been scared to get after each other here as Venti and Drifted on the classic lovers duo here.
Worth noting, the Akali is actually starting to fall behind significantly, down 2 levels. 30
Yeah,
CS.
Genosyn's very scary right now. 3-0. Already completed his first item. Up about 1,000 gold over Tom right now.
Practice invading the Trundle on topside jungle.
Yeah, aggressive invade from AHS Black, actually. They've got 2 members there.
Renekton's
The
coming for the
rotation
collapse,
from the
though.
Vladimir. So we could see a 3v3 topside. No, they're actually going to
Oh,
back
yeah,
away.
they're
They're
back off.
looking to... Looked like they wanted to try and catch out. Uh-oh, Venti taking a lot of damage there. El Oso, True Shot Barrage, the Featherstorm response. El Oso was actually very low there. Very lucky. It appeared that the Blade Caller cooldown was not
Trundle
up
going
for
in.
Venti there. Here comes the Predator Trundle trying to chase down Venti. There's the Q from the Yuumi. Venti's in the wrong part of the lane, and Bolty's going to grab that kill.
Venti really just can't catch a break in this bot lane.
They may
Every
look
time
to dive. Tom has proxied the wave here. The Rakan is
Wow.
trapped for the moment, but he's going to go through the Tri-Brush. I like that play from the Rakan, just being able to escape. Here comes the teleport from Feng-Ji. He has doesn't have the call of the Forge God here, so he's just going in, but here comes the Rakan. They want the response here. Bolty's so low. They're going to be able to get this kill. Yes, the shutdown. Burt drifted, but the response? El Oso, he's got the damage. There's 1. 2's going to fall. The shutdown for El Oso, and here comes the Ezreal, 3-0-2.
Dang, things were looking so good for HS Black 2 up to that point. You know, I really don't think Ornn had to feel pressure to TP there at all. The tower wasn't really in danger.
And he's coming in with no ultimate available, already at half health. I
Yeah.
think that's super risky.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Fortunately, you know, Karthus, keeping presence of mind, keeping in mind cross-map play, is able to trade that pressure at bottom that his team lost for a free tower in top lane. That's the first tower broken. And there are no other towers that have been taken in response. This is actually not a bad game state for HS Black. Vladimir going for the dive. You're crazy, man. The gall
He's
of
feeling
that one.
very confident right now, though. Genosyn's has just had his foot mashed on the gas pedal in this game. Sitting at an item and a half, has that cooldown reduction thanks to grabbing those Lucidity boots. So he can have that Q on a very, very low cooldown and continue to try and play aggressively and force these plays onto Tom. Meanwhile, Grizzly has moved up to take this Rift Herald. No response here from AHS. Feng-Ji's in the area, but it's way too late.
A big result of this, by the way, is Xayah is being way too slow and rotating out of bot lane. You want Vlad to be down there right now. With one team's duo being in mid lane and the other team's not, that Herald is never contestable for HS Black.
HS Black trying to pressure in mid lane, looking for this tier 1 tower, but they are going to be poked off of that for now, so it will survive for the moment. Venti still trying to work on this tower in the bottom lane. Tom taking a lot of damage here. Yeah, I don't know about that. You not only do you walk out of the shroud, you walk away from your tower.
Yeah.
Like, that's tons of safety that you give up, and that was scary. I mean, Tom almost forced the flash away there because Venti could have tried to go in aggressively and take down the Akali. Doesn't elect to do so, so Tom gets away with one there. As QST, Feng-Ji continuing to trade topside.
So again, this top lane dynamic is one of the biggest things that's going to help AHS Black really have a strong mid game here. That Ornn is having a very healthy game. Renekton isn't really getting too far ahead. And on top of that, he has a Shojin. He doesn't have a Ravenous Hydra or anything like that. So his uptime on the map is really much hindered by that fact. And you know, since his uptime on the map is being decreased by such an extent, it should take a much longer time for that Renekton to eventually break a tower on the Ornn. That's not the kind of dynamic you want at all.
XU got a blue buff, guys.
Oh, he did!
Congratulations.
Oh, thank goodness. I was getting really stressed out for him, dude.
Yeah, I mean, lucky that Bolty instead elected to go for the Cloud Drake first. Hey, there we go. Much love to production in the back, our observers.
Giving us a thumbs up back there.
Yep, shout out to Kathy back there. Cloud Drake grabbed by Grizzly, and Feng-Ji actually caught out very deep in the jungle. Where's the follow-up? He's going to get the knock-up onto Bolty, but he's just going to die in the 1v2 before his team can even respond. Meanwhile, the Xayah still in the bottom lane, matched up against Tom.
Yeah, I have to point this out because it's such a big deal. Again, this is the one thing Grizzly Gaming wants, is for Xayah to be at bot lane and not the Vlad. Vlad is much stronger, and by that reasoning, you might want your strongest champion to be in that mid lane in the middle of the map instead of Xayah. But Xayah's wave clear is just way better than Vlad's at this stage of the game. It makes no sense to have her still in the bot lane.
Yeah, the Rifto will charge on to the tier 2 here, but here comes Drifted trying to get on the backline. Good final chapter there, will buy some space. QST trying to get the sustain onto GenoSins, but he's burning from the Ignite, and GenoSins is going to grab the kill. But here comes Tom. Bolty flashing, and they want to finish off the jungler. That's a shutdown onto the Karthus, but here comes the ult. Tom's going to fall. That's the double kill.
Oh, here's another.
El Oso's low. He's trying to get away. Some sustain from the Zoomies, but Drifted's still here. He wants to get back in here. 3v2. That's enough space bought by the Ezreal Yuumi that they will escape. But AHS Black, I love the response there. Grizzly Gaming trying to re-engage, and it doesn't work out. And now that will mean the tier 1 tower in mid lane
probably
falls.
a tier 2 as well.
They can continue to pressure. El Oso's pretty high on health, so that's the one thing they have going for them, and still more sustain to come from the Yuumi. But the tower's going down so quickly, they're going to have to back away. That's 2 towers traded, and they actually were able to protect their tier 2 as well. It just barely survived. I mean, it's on its last leg for sure, but that's a big swing there for AHS.
It is. However, one thing that's important to mention, neither of these solos have TP. Support doesn't have TP, bot lane doesn't have TP, everyone is low, and the entire enemy team is up on tempo. This may be a very easy Baron attempt for them if the entire team of AHS Black decides to back here.
Yeah, they're trying to reset, and Grizzlies perfect timing. They're reading your mind, going right to the Baron, but XU and Drifted have at least sniffed this out for the moment. Tom's in trouble, having to get away. Good true shot barrage. Drifted is in trouble. Tom's going to get the kill, and now they're on to the Baron. Pink Ward dropped over the wall, so they will spot this out for now. XU. Oh, you got to respect Tom. The Yuumi is here for the sustain. XU's in trouble. That's a shutdown for the Akali, and Tom continues to be a threat. Fengji's here now, but there's no smite to respond. There's the call of the Forge
They do have
God.
Vladimir
Trying to get into the back line. El also able to avoid the knockup, but here comes GenoSins. They're going to have to back off of the Baron. They get it down to about a third health, but they cannot finish it off. It will sustain up, so HS Black has done their first job here. But here comes GenoSins. He's trying to burn down Tom. He's in the shroud, trying to buy some time. Good knockup. There's the blade caller. Bolty's going to fall. Good job from Venti. That's 2 kills. And now AHS Black, they want to turn on to the Baron. XU is up in 5 seconds. Okay, Grizzly doesn't seem to recognize this, so...
Well, I think they recognize it, but the problem is their jungler's not up in time. Their Akali and Ezreal are both at 300 HP. They have to get it up.
Oh, there's
a TP, though.
Here comes the TP. This has got to be Tom.
Oh,
yep, he's going to go in. Well. But it's just the 1v4. Tom goes back over the wall, but followed by Fengji. He's going to go down. No, he won't. He actually takes out the Ornn. Venti's low. That's the kill for El Oso. Tom nearly goes down. Can XU chase him down? He's going to get the slow. He's going to get the shutdown. But GenoSins is trapped in the pit. Here comes another teleport. QST's on his way. The shutdown onto the Vladimir. Grizzly Gaming, they take the best leash possible from AHS Black. XU still here, doesn't have flash. He cannot get into the pit. They do not have a blast cone. It's just up to him and Drifted. Poke over the wall from El Oso. No smite for Grizzly Gaming. El Oso's over the wall. Final chapter will lock down XU. He's going to fall. Drifted soon follows. Mung Ace is doing so well on the Yuumi, and now they have their junglers, so the Baron is begun once more.
Yeah, wow. Teleport's a great spell, huh? Here we just saw one team with all their teleports down, the other team with teleports up.
Guess who TP'd in now? Fengji.
Oh, here he goes. Another teleport comes up. Fengji going in with the ult.
Call of the Forge God will get the knockup. Another teleport.
TP.
Here comes GenoSins. The Baron is not done yet. QST solo. Fengji trying to survive as long as he can, but the poke from El Oso is too much. Bolty's going to get that kill, but GenoSins wants to turn around. Bolty taking so much damage. Venti's here one more. The Fiesta is in full throws right now. QST is going to eat the Feather Storm. The Blade Caller finishes off the double kill. Venti's popping off, but GenoSins is still alive. The triple kill. He needs to go into the pool, but the final chapter is up once more. That presence of mind on the Yuumi is so good, and Monk Ace will get the kill. The Baron, it's not going down. I'm just going to tell you now, they cannot take it.
Is the Akali going to start it or what?
Somebody, how long did that fight go on? That was nuts.
Okay, so let's see. That fight took about over 3 minutes for sure.
Let's be clear. It's 25 minutes in the game. We have to be honest. I'm pretty sure that started at 20 minutes.
Yeah,
that was just
I think
a 5-minute
20, 21 minutes.
Start the Baron.
Yeah.
Come off the Baron. Everybody dies. Start the Baron again. Come off the Baron. Fight. Everybody dies.
And for the record, any of you who are watching who think that's a sign of a low-quality game, you're wrong. That's how League of Legends is meant to be played. That's how it's meant to be observed. That is the pinnacle of competitive League of Legends right there. That was beautiful. What a fun team fight. One thing I do want to point out about that team fight, it is a little bit long ago since, it was 4 minutes long. But when AHS Black first initially got there and stopped the very first attempt, they played it so beautifully. They skirted their max range. They pushed Grizzly Gaming outside of pit, and then they didn't extend past the Baron. They decided to back up, give ground, simply force the enemy team to disengage off the Baron, create ground again, and then Vlad sits in a bush, waits for the enemy team to overextend, and then re-engage. It was so beautifully played. And here we have a pause.
All right, now we can all take a collective breath. everybody with me, in your nose, out through your mouth.
Breathing's important, guys.
We're gonna relax, take a moment here, catch our breath. 25 minutes into that game. A couple Baron starts, but no Barons secured as of yet. These teams very close, just about 1,000 gold separating the two, as we will get back to the action once this pause is done. So thank you for your patience and bearing with us here as we look to continue with this absolute barn burner of a game. I mean, we're at over a combined kill per minute. We're at about, I think, 34 or 35 total kills in the game at 25 minutes. So there has been no shortage of action between these teams. Neither of them have been hesitant whatsoever to continue to go for plays and to continue to fight things out. So it has been very entertaining. Maybe not the cleanest or like sexiest League of Legends we've seen.
I disagree.
But, hey, it's been a good time, that's for sure. Quick pause, though. We are back now into the action. Oh, man.
Taking a look at items real quick. Let's take some stock. Ornn is on his 2 item. Now, again, Renekton is still not on his 2nd item after finishing that Spear of Sojin super early into the game. I just want to point out, this could have been an entirely different side lane matchup scenario if Renekton does not rush Spear of Sojinjer. He doesn't need it until his 3rd item, maybe 2nd, if you really want to get it early. But I really think that hindered his early game. At this point in time, Ornn is definitely stronger, definitely going to be contributing much more in these fights. Ornn coming down.
Big trouble here. That is going to be the call of the Forge God landing onto Bolty. They try to chase down QST. He will flash away there. Yeah, I mean, it's really, he's going for the Black Cleaver now, but it doesn't really matter all that much anymore, at least in the lane matchup, right? Because you typically want to get that armor shred into the Ornn before he's got 2 arm items.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's already got a Frozen Fist and his upgraded Sunfire Cape. Like, he's a very big boy, and he has a ton of armor, so that armor shred doesn't mean much anymore.
Grizzly engaging with no real forms of hard engage.
HS Black on the wrong side of the map here. They'll eat some damage from the True Shot Barrage as the Ezreal continues to throw out poke, but Genosins wants to get on to El Oso. Some sustain from the Yumi will keep him alive for now.
Oh,
but QST's in trouble. He's so low. Venti grabs the kill. Here comes Drifted trying to get on the back line. Final chapter will lock him down for a moment, but here comes the Karthus Zone. A lot of damage there, but all of AHS Black is still alive. They're trying to sustain back up. XU going to just slow down Tom here. Tom is very low. Venti going to lock him down. Bolty's in trouble. That's a kill for the... Oh, man, the bot laner there. The Xayah popping off right now, but there's the shutdown for
Ezreal got the kill on Xayah as soon as the screen went off.
Genosin's able to take down Tom there, so it's a 3-for-1 right now. This fight is in favor of AHS Black. They're going to clear out the wave in mid. Do they like to go for the Baron? They can. Bolty's dead.
It's difficult,
It's
though.
risky,
Ezreal's probably one of the best. Ezreal, Yumi, probably the 2 of the best characters that you could ask for in Bali to stop a Baron here. Very, very important that Ezreal's managed to stay alive in that fight. Mind you, that fight started by Vladimir landing a flash ult engage on the Ezreal. Yeah, he gets out of the fight at full HP. Yumi's a really good character.
And I have to say, he finishes the Blade of the Rune King there for a little bit more sustain.
Yeah.
I love the adaptation here from El Oso going towards the Maw, right? Genosins has been a huge threat in this game and really seems to be, while Venti is pretty scary, El Oso has been able to deal with the Xayah so far, but it really seems like Genosins is that one big threat that he needs to worry about, and he's itemizing towards that. He recognizes that the Vladimir is very powerful right now, and he knows that, just like that last fight, as long as he doesn't go down, as he can continue to throw out the poke and not die to Genosins, then he can be the linchpin for this team's composition, and it's working so far.
Yeah, it's definitely good adaptation. When you're against champions like Karthus and Vladimir, you really got to go a step further, get the Hex Drinker, get the Mercurial, not the Mercurial, get the Merc Treads.
Yeah.
He has Merc Treads as well. So we're seeing him itemize very intelligently.
And he even just grabbed the Executioner's Calling, so to try and cut more of that sustain. So a lot of respect being thrown towards the Vladimir here, but he's still a 3.5 item Ezreal, sitting at almost 200 CS, so he's still dealing out a lot of damage here, and Genosin's having to back away, goes into his pool. Mid lane tier 2 will fall. Taken down by El Oso finally there. And now they'll retreat, heading towards this Baron once more. Fengji is going to return to base. His teleport is almost available.
Yeah,
That's less than a
almost.
minute cooldown there, so he can respond to a Baron here in just a moment. He's going to return to base by... The great thing for AHS Black right now is your side waves are perfect.
Yeah.
They're exactly where you want them. You've got a wave in bot lane going to pressure that tier 2 tower, and then top lane is slow pushing towards that tier 2 as well. So your side lanes are all taken care of. You can look to fight Grizzly Gaming. You don't have to worry about any of these lanes right now.
Well, here's the thing. Not only does HS Black have such superior side lane control over Grizzly Gaming, but there's a couple other things that are making this much harder on Grizzly Gaming. For one, HS, oh, he's going for the engage.
Yeah, Junosin's going aggressively onto Tom as the Akali just kind of disrespecting there. Here comes the engage. Tom trying to get into the backline, and there's Feng Ji with the Call of the Forge God, but it doesn't miss. It doesn't land under those priority targets. QSC trying to get away. He and Tom are so very low, but Junosin wants to go in. Here comes the Rakan. Beautiful. Locking him down. Double kill for the Karthus. And here comes AHS Black. They're going to get 2 kills there. They're going straight to the Baron now. They recognize they've gotten the kills they needed. They've got all 5 members, and they can finally look down to lock down this neutral objective.
So what I wanted to say earlier, you know, what you said about that silent situation, that is a direct result of Renekton not itemizing properly and being able to exert his pressure on the Ornn. Instead, you see a 2-item Renekton at 30 minutes just walking around mid with his team.
Tom?
Oh, so close. Definitely worth a shot. Definitely worth a shot.
Goes in to try and steal. He's actually still alive, just hiding in the shroud, but Genosins will be able to take him down. Lots of poke coming out of the Grizzly Gaming bottom lane, but the smite is true from XU there, securing that Baron for AHS Black, and they will return to base and reset. And now they can go look for a second Ocean Drake. That should be an easy pickup for them. The side waves are, again, still in their favor. Grizzly has not taken care of those waves yet. QSC just on his way to bottom lane now. So everything is set up for AHS Black to take full advantage of this Baron right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They have all 3 lanes set up. Now the question is, how do they want to approach with this Baron? Do they want a 1-3-1? Maybe they want to put 4 people in one lane, 1 guy in the other?
They have 2 teleports available right now, so they can go for the 1-3-1. The one hard part is your 3-man unit then is going to be Karthus, Xayah, Rakan.
Pretty bad 3-man unit.
Yeah, that's hard. I mean, you can get engaged on fairly easily. The good thing that they have is there's not a lot of great guaranteed engage on the side of Grizzly Gaming, but if QST can find a way to slice and dice his way into the backline, or if there's some sort of TP flank, things can go very bad very quickly for them. So
they can. That's why I actually really like this decision here to go majority of numbers in 1 lane. Now, I don't know about sending 5 people bottom without having mid or top pushed.
Top is still slow pushing.
Top is still slow pushing. Mid's pushing in, but you know, that's not that important. 5 people in this lane, that's not something that Grizzly Gaming could ignore at all.
Yeah, they can't in any way split push themselves. They have to respond to this full 5-man, and they're going to look for the dive. Good knock up there. Good by Renekton. There's drifted under the backline as well. Tom is so low. He's going to fall to XU. Here's the Karthus ultimate. The Feather Storm as well as Venti looking to take down El Oso. 1 kill traded back as El Oso is able to take down Genosins, but it's still the 4v2. Can the Ezreal Yuumi defend? El Oso trying to get away, throwing out as much poke as he can, but he doesn't have the wave clear to deal with these minions. Drifted trying to go in. He's going to go down to El Oso. Feng Ji, here is El Oso throwing out so much poke. Feng Ji's so low that the Nexus towers will fall. They've got the wave onto the Nexus, and that is it. AHS Black with the big push in bot lane will take the win over Grizzly Gaming.
Wow. And incredible game. Definitely our best game tonight. I think that we had the pleasure of casting.
Wow.
That was really entertaining.
What an interesting finish there. That huge, and you know what, I want to say dance, but more, that was more of just a brawl around Baron for about 5 minutes once we hit the 20-minute mark, and then both of these teams just continuing to trade blows, continued aggression, and finally we see AHS Black getting the fight that they need in mid lane. They get the 3 kills, immediately respond with a Baron, reset, go right down to bottom lane and finish it off. So really understanding we have the power to win this game now. We are not going to allow Grizzly Gaming to stall any longer. We're going to go get this win now.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out that you mentioned, I think before this game started, that the boon of having team compositions that are easily executable, how important that is in these tight game situations. I wanna bring up that that game started with Karthus getting invaded on and losing his first 2 blues.
Yep.
And his third one was just as strongly contested as well. It was a very high pressure game for the Karthus.
Yeah.
But yet, look, all he had to do is sit back, click R, do half the HP of the entire enemy team.
You know what? And a couple of ganks to the solo lanes, throwing out a couple of auto attacks and dropping a game. You know, he did his job. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely a very effective pick, and I think a really good sign that these R-based characters are very effective. You know, the Rakan, huge impact that game. You know, despite a very slow, very tight back and forth early game between the bot lane, you know, it was a very effective game from these old-oriented characters that AHS were able to pick.
Yeah, and I do want to throw some more credit to the Rakan as you mentioned. I think, you know, even in our highlight package from last week, we saw some action from Drifted there on the Rakan, and I think he's been one of the best Rakans we've seen in the league. He looked very good. A lot of beautiful grand entrances, the secondary engage. Obviously, Rakan, more difficult to play since the changes that we saw, right?
yeah.
You can't get that instant ult grand entrance onto somebody. It's a lot more difficult to set up, but if you can get that initial engage, he definitely can thrive, and I think Drifted piloted that champion very well there. So big performance across the board from AHS Black, and definitely some standouts on their lineup.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was a very good game. Very good execution.
Definitely a very excited game to watch, and it was a blast all through the day. We had tons of action here in Late Night League. Latman, thanks for joining me, man. It was an absolute pleasure. Hope to have you back sometime in the future, but thanks for coming in and spending some time with us.
Yeah, I'm happy to come in. This was a lot of fun. I would love to do it again, and this was awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for us here, closing out the action here in Late Night League week number 6. But make sure to come back next week. We will have our last week of the regular season and double points on the line once more. So the stakes are even higher as we are just 2 weeks away from our grand final in season number 3. Folks, hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to tune in later this week for some Super Smash Bros. Ultimate action as well as Fortnite Frenzy. But for myself, Latman, everybody in the production crew, we want to thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we'll see y'all again next time.